having um, we'll be having a discovery aspect from 6, and tonight we heard of the godfather of the Caribbean, Mr. Sir Eric Williams, um, Dr. Eric Williams, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. But in the studios, I should also say to the listeners that we don't have, I'm sorry about that, our co-host, Mr. Adams, will not be able to make it here with us. So we will be just myself along with Mr. Mr. Ainsworth Irish. Good evening to you, sir.
Yes, good evening, Cecil. Good evening to radio listeners, DBS Radio. I'm extremely delighted to be here with you to add my voice. I notice your program is getting more interesting week after week. A couple of weeks ago, you had distinguished officer Mr. Claude Wicks, who gave tremendous insight on his whole policing, and tonight I am here. I'm extremely delighted to be here. I was happy driving, listening to you, and giving a little history on Trinidad and Tobago. As you quite rightly said, today is independence for Trinidad, and they have a long history. And certainly I want to just congratulate them. And before I go straight into what you want me to talk about, I want to say sympathy to the family of Coffee Williams, former superintendent of police, who unfortunately last Sunday, he passed and so on. So I want to say to his family, hold strong, and to all the members of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force. I know you're sad with his loss, but then as we are born to die, as the word says, and I can only hope the family can hold strong.
I like that phrase. We are born to die. Right. Once you're born, you will die.
That's right.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Irish, and I'm happy that you are able to be here with us this evening, where we are going to talk about.
Can I put on the headset because I'm hearing you a bit low?
You can. You can put.
Can I do that?
Yes, you can. If you so wish. If you prefer having the headset, better for you, right?
Yes, I'm feeling better.
All right.
Yes.
I can imagine. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Right, yes.
Indeed.
So, Mr. Irish, first of all, tell us I know most persons know you as Ainsworth Irish. Do you have a middle name?
My name is Ainsworth Lemuel Clement Irish. And in all my family children, my father, we have Clement as one of the names. So Ainsworth Lemuel Clement Irish.
Why the Clement? Everybody.
I'm not sure. My father was T.C. Irish, Thomas Clement Irish. You had Urban Irish. You had Coven C. Irish. You had Roddy C. Irish, Ilma, So all the whole family, we have a Clement. I suppose my father had some sort of divine, something divine, and he just decided, because, it was a very neat family. The Irish is very neat, organized family, disciplined, and we grew up, humble birth, but the spirit of love and togetherness and godliness was always in the family.
What is the area in which the surname came from, Irish?
Yes, that's a very good question, and I knew you were going to ask that from the onset. Actually, my great-grandfather, William Irish, came to Dominica from Montserrat about 110 years ago. He lived to be about 90-something. And when he came from Montserrat in the early days from the Leeward Islands, he went straight to Portsmouth. And then he ended up, as his job, putting on the light. The lamp, in those days, they had some sort of bullseye or lamp putting on the post to give the, lights in Portsmouth, tongue of Portsmouth. And that's what he started working. So he came from the Leeward Islands, and then my father, of course, my grandfather had 3 children. That was my father, Thomas Irish. My aunt, who was in Barbados, lived there for a very long time. I can give you the history after. And another aunt who passed also. So 3 children, and then we raised up in Portsmouth. My father had, of course, 11 children, and thanks God, he really took care of, despite the, difficult times, but we grew up nicely. And, I remember when we were small, even if we had 2 eggs, we would boil the 2 eggs and we could cut that in pieces. And now everybody have grown, they have their own jobs. If you go at their homes, you'll see dozens of eggs. So when I used to go to the schools as a police officer and talk to children, I used to tell them, look, everything doesn't happen overnight. We had 2 eggs to boil for 11 children growing up. And then now everybody is big and have the job. And if you go to their homes now, they have 2,000 eggs on their fridge. That didn't shake us or make us less what we were supposed to be. So yes, so the Irish surname came from the Leeward Islands. And, from Portsmouth, as I indicated. And I was a young boy growing up in Portsmouth. And I can go into the whole story.
So we're going into the history of Portsmouth and yourself, in a while. I want to find out from you, Mr. Irish. Anybody who says that they're an Irish comes from your clan.
Yes, you can say that. Yes, because the Irish family, well, maybe is about 15 or about 18 now. Irish is, I had, of course, I had 3 children. I had this guy, well, before I got married, Alistair in Bath Estate. And then I have 2 children with my wife. One died, my boy, Lemuel, Clement Irish, Stanfield Irish. He died. My boy was cerebral palsy, of course, born at 7 months. People said he would die in 2 months' time, but he lived for 28 years. I did my best for him, and that really inspired me to get into helping Special Olympics and these things, And, of course, my daughter, Chrisani Irish, who still lives with us.
And your other siblings?
Yes, well, of course, you had as I said, okay. The other thing is, I'll tell you the truth, my father had, of course, he had 11 children, but he had 2 of us, out before he got married. That is my first brother who died, Urban Irish, who was the airport manager here and Liat manager before he moved to Antigua as the internal auditor and so on. And then, of course, he had me. And then we had, Kevin Irish, who worked at Social Security. He passed. Of course, we have Ilma Irish, who was the manager of the CEO of NCCU, and now he's moved to Goodwill. We have Roderick Irish, who retired from the customs. We had Hermione Irish, of course, the principal of Wesley High School, who passed a couple of years ago. And then, of course, we have Michael Irish, who worked at Liat then. He's now in Canada. We have Rolsworth Irish, who worked with mapping, an engineer in Canada himself. My brother Gifford unfortunately died about 6 or 7 months ago, and so on. Then we have Joycelyn Irish, who was an administrative officer, got Island Scholarship years ago. And as I speak, she's in Canada and enjoying some holidays with my brothers and so on. And then I have Ilona Irish, who she's now married, Ilona Sinclair to St. Lucian. She's in Texas. She was at Lyme, worked for a number of years, and then she moved to the United States to join her husband. And, she's a counselor, works in a hospital. So we have an extended family. And, of course, most of the boys, we are married. Of course, my wife is still alive and well, Julia Irish. She's a teacher, hopefully will retire next year, and so on. And, so we have all the Irish family. All the brothers are married. Ilma is married to Chandra Irish, who works on the port, and so on. And so the family is there. And we are in touch, it's not letting off anything off the hook. My father died. He had 2 houses, one in Portsmouth and one in Roseau, Hillsborough Street, 20 Hillsborough Street, and he left that for the family. So any and every one of us, we can go there, we can sleep there, we can relax there. We meet there to have our little family meeting and so on. And the brothers, Elmer, if he doesn't hear from me in 2 days, every Wednesday, every Thursday, we speak. He lives at Castle Comfort. I'm at Wall House. He brings mangoes for me if I have sweet soup. And, and that is the kind of sharing and the kind of thing that we were brought up. My father was a very humble man. He started as a shoemaker, my father. And then he became an accountant. And he was the manager of the DBMC, Dominica Banana Association in Portsmouth. And then he came to Roseau as the financial controller. Very humble man. And then he became the manager of Dominica Banana Association until he was replaced by Mr. Edison James. But that man was so quiet, And it's striking that we just passed 29th of August was Hurricane, the anniversary, right? And I remember after Hurricane David, and my father was the manager of Dominica Banana Association, and all the roofs, a lot of roofs came out in Roseau, including our roof when we were living on Great Marlborough Street in that house close to Brenner, Charles and them. And then people were taking tarpaulins at the DBMC to cover their place. And our roof came out, and I told my father, I'm going to take 2 tarpaulins. He said, no. This tarpaulin belonged to the Dominica Banana Association, and we should not touch it. we'll have to find someplace else to stay. I say, but Daddy, look, so many people are taking tarpaulins and you are the manager. I mean, after all, that's a legitimate thing for you to go and for me to get 2 tarpaulins. He said, no, no, no. And boy, we had to weather the storm. And he said, no, don't touch anything. And that was the kind of man he was. And we grew up having that kind of same discipline, And, every time I think of my father, he passed in 1999, man. This man, I don't know. This man was, I wish many fathers, would really cherish their children and so on. And this TC Irish, I remember when my brother was going to grammar school. In fact, not boastful. Every one of us went to high school. I even went to the grammar school. I mean, I didn't even reach 4th form. A lot of situation happened and I had to leave school. In fact, my father took my first brother out from 5th form, Urban Irish. He had gotten all his GC, all his stuff already to send me to school, and then all the others followed. We went to high school. Whether Aylmer, look for instance, Aylmer went to the community high school when people were looking down on that school. And he was one of the first graduates. And then he went to the university in St. Thomas. He furthered his education. And the others, some went to grammar school, some went to the St. Mary's Academy, and, it was just humble birth, man. And my father, and he was a man that was, he used to give us that kind of principle that, you have to work hard to achieve what you want. And that was the kind of situation we brought up, and so when I see people these days, people think, well, everything happened overnight. No. We started really from really humble birth, not abject poverty, but we had sufficient to survive. And, the man really did his best for not just his children, but for humanity. Yes, indeed. And, I can tell you today, I am what I am thanks to my father, thanks to the grace of him, the Almighty Father God. But every day when I remember this man, and the things that he instilled in us, man, that just gives me a reawakening that, Rome was not built in a day. And success comes with hard work.
When we speak of men that way, most times you ask about their spiritual belief. How strong was your father spiritually?
Boy, that's a good question. My father was a Methodist local minister in the Methodist Church. And surprisingly, all the Irish are Methodist except me. I'm a Catholic. But I go to the Methodist Church once a month. You know why? Because my wife was not Catholic, so we got married in the Methodist Church. And of course, she said, well, boy, I'm not thinking of going to the Catholic. And I didn't want to go to Pentecostal Christian Union. So we went to that nice church, Methodist Church. So every month, a lot of the Methodist people, they say, but Mr. Irish, I don't see you that often in the church like your brothers. And so I tell them, no, I'll come once a month, but I love the Methodist. And he was a good Methodist. So he was a local preacher. And so all the, the boys, they took up the same thing. They involved in the church activities. And of course, I mean, religion is something that's having a lot of problems in the world. But in terms of, let's say, we having any division and anything about religion, no. If we are invited to go to any of these churches, we'll attend it. But they are strong Methodists, and I go there at least once a month.
What about your mom? You spoke highly of your dad, but what about your mom?
Yes, well, my mom actually is 88 years. She lives in St. Martin. She's a Dutch citizen now. She's been there for 60-something years. So when I was about 12, 13, she had to migrate to greener pastures. So, in those days, things, if you were working, let's say you were working at Geese, on the banana thing and so on, and then when Geese collapsed, everybody had to move. So she went across, and then, my father took over, and so on. So, but my mother is still alive. She lives in St. Martin now. She used to be in Totola and St. Thomas. She moved to St. Martin 60 years ago, and I saw her last year. I see her at least once a year. In fact, 4 weeks ago, going up to Indianapolis, I had to stop in St. Martin. But when they changed the flight and they said the flight was 1 hour, although she lives about 10 or 12 minutes from the airport, I didn't want to chance running to see her, but I see her at least once a year. She probably comes to Dominica. She loves Carnival, but now, because of her age, she will probably come to Dominica every 4 or 5 years. But at least every year, You know, especially when she was sick last year, I had to move up there once or twice with my brother. I have my half-brother who is Julian Brewster, her first son, you know, and Brewster would spend most of the time that he's retired too. And Brewster would go up there and spend some time with her. And, you know, so that is the position. I'm not sure what happened to my headphone.
Are you talking about the mayor, former mayor of Portsmouth?
The former mayor of Portsmouth, Julian Brewster. I'm not hearing anything from my headphone.
Okay.
I'm not sure what happened.
Let's just pause for a reason, and we'll come right across to get that problem solved. And let me just put some promos out so that I could come across to see and to ensure that whatever is going on is rectified.
You should know this by now. DBS got the #1 sounds. There is no other. Oh no, not in this world. Yeah man, this is Glenn Washington. DBS are the boss. See?
Everybody beware, and you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, and you better prepare.
Tropical depressions can cause as much damage and death as hurricanes or tropical storms. They can bring rain, lots of it, and cause severe flooding, landslides, and mudslides. Sadira, your local disaster office, and this radio station urge you not to be caught off guard this hurricane season. Be aware and be prepared.
Everybody beware, and you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, and you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime. Don't let disaster come and catch you off guard. Together, make your family hurricane plan. Everybody beware, and you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, and you better prepare.
If you live on a hillside or a mountainside, or even in a high-rise building, then the winds during a storm or hurricane can be 10 to 30 miles an hour stronger than at sea level. You should either take additional precautions to protect your property or evacuate. Let someone know where you're going. Sadira, your local disaster office, and this radio station urge you not to be caught off guard this hurricane season. Be aware and be prepared.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, and you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime. Everybody beware, and you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, and you better prepare.
When a warning is issued for a tropical storm or a hurricane, it means that your area is expected to become affected by strong winds and rain within 24 hours. Now is the time to rush preparation to completion and safeguard your family and your property. Sadira, your local disaster office, and this radio station urge you not to be caught off guard this hurricane season. Be aware and be prepared.
Everybody beware, you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime, anywhere. Everybody beware, and you better prepare. Disaster can happen anytime.
Thank you very much for staying tuned, and we have solved the problem. I'm sure Mr. Irish is plenty better. Thank you very much, Mr.
Loud
Irish.
and clear now.
Okay, thank you very much. So yes, Mr. Irish, let us know, you were talking about your mom.
Oh yes, my mother Editha Richards, she's about 88, going on almost 90, and lives in St. Martin for about 60 years. So much so that now she's a Dutch citizen. And of course, she had 4 children. That was Julian Brewster, the former mayor of Portsmouth, my first brother, and I was second. And then we had Rosemary Thomas, and she was married to Mr. Adams. She passed in Portsmouth, about 2 or 3 years ago. And then I had Kenroy Thomas. He was in St. Martin too for a long time. He was a sailor, navigator, and he passed last year.
You came from a very large family, Irish, on both sides.
Oh yeah, on both sides. Yes. My mother had 4 children. My father had 11 of us. So and so on, and then we really we lived up to the challenges of life, and we all grew up to be who we are today, and I have to be very thankful for the Almighty, who was always gracing us with His blessings.
I just want to say good evening to Anthony Mead. Tony Mead, good evening to you. I know that you are in Guadeloupe and you're tuned. Juliet Andrew Toma, good evening to you also. Roseanne Roy, good evening to you also. Daryl Tit, good evening to you, sir. Someone said that they remember Mr. Irish preaching. That must be your father.
Yes,
in those days. No, Mr. Irish. I can call you Irish.
Yes, of course.
Everybody are accustomed to calling you Irish. Let's talk about your life in Portsmouth as a boy growing up.
Yes, as a young boy in Portsmouth, of course, my mother was a very strict lady who, and she was always careful. You had to be, she wouldn't just send us out, to just go and play with everybody and so on. So she would try to even make local toys for us so that we could stay around home and play. And then, of course, as a young boy, 6-7 years, I started going to the St. John's Primary School in Portsmouth. That's the non-school, they used to call it. And then after, when I got to pretty close to 11 years, for some reason or the other, I cannot remember the reason, my mother sent me to the Portsmouth Government School. And that's where I got my formal primary education. I had some good teachers like Neil Joseph, Miss Roy from Vickers area and so on. Quite a few teachers. And I remember, I used to be in sports a lot. I used to be playing a lot of sports, although sometimes my mother would tell me as soon as school over to come home. But somehow I would end up going to Benjamin's Park, play my little cricket, play my little football, and I used to enjoy that. And then, of course, when my father was moved to Roseau, I think I moved to Roseau with him.
Before we get into the moving of you to Roseau, let's talk a little bit more of your life as a boy growing up. Also, too, I want to say Victoria Nicholas, good evening. That's my boy. Good evening to you. And Teresa Fregis, good evening to you. And I know that you're always tuned to the program, so good evening to both of you all. And Sandra Sayer, good evening. Let's get a little bit more of Portsmouth. Most of us would be aware that in the early days, quite a lot of sunflies.
Yes.
Your soil wasn't the best. Give us an understanding as to, as a boy growing up, how these things prevented you from wanting to be who you wanted to be. I'm sure the sunflies, and you were hoping that you would leave this place and to go somewhere else.
Oh, yes, indeed. I remember, in fact, at one stage we were living close to the Benjamin's Park, and I was somewhat affected with this mosquito thing and used to be very sick, and even when I went to school too, but anyway, that's down the road. And then, I used to go sometimes on the bayside, in Portsmouth. A lot of these young boys used to go and check on the yachts and things, but my mother would not allow me. But if I get a chance when she goes to the river, I would run to the bayside, take a little sea bath, and try to learn to swim and so on. So as a young boy, I can remember, as I said, I was affected by the mosquitoes to a certain extent. But again, because of the level of discipline at home, I could not go out like the other guys and play and so on, and my mother was very mindful about that. But when I get a break, I would get a chance and run to the sea, At one stage, I almost drowned because there was a boat that had wrecked in Portsmouth as a young boy of 10 years. And the captain or whoever came down to buy petrol. And they wanted me to hold the guy wanted me to hold the petrol for him while he was rowing back to the wrecked boat out there. And then somehow when he went on the boat, they left me on and a little wave came and I fell in the sea. And I could not swim at that time, but I do not know what. I just feel my foot on something, like something holding me up. I don't know what it is. And I end up coming back on the boat. But by that time I drank some water and while I was trying to say something, I could hardly even speak. And when the man came, he saw me struggling to think, boy, and he hurriedly came and pulled me up, and these fellas came and they pressed my chest and so on, brought out the water, and then they brought me to shore, boy, and I ran home. But my mother gave me a beating because she was expecting me at home. And then
how did your mother find out?
Well, when I came, obviously my clothes came wet down and so on, and sand and everything. And so on, my mother asked me, what happened to me? Did I not tell you must not go on the sea on the bayside without, my permission or anything like that? And then, so I was wet down, man. And
you did not say to her that you almost got drowned?
Say again?
Did you say to her that you almost got drunk?
Yes, I had to tell her because you see, the thing is that
And
she gave me a beating, boy,
flogging?
you know those days. Yeah, and there was discipline. Imagine, at my home in my days when I was growing up as a young boy, if, let's say, my mother $50, 50 cents fall there, or dollar or something, you cannot touch it, you don't take it and say you put it in your pocket. You either have to take it and put it on the shelf and tell her, look, I found that in the house, or even, so it was really strict discipline. And in those days, I mean, imagine, when I was a young boy too, 9 years, two persons were speaking in Portsmouth, and I just walked between them without saying anything, and then my mother found out. I think the lady called her, told her, look, she was speaking to somebody, and your son just came and he just walked between, inadvertently, little child, and so on. And I had to go and apologize, and I get my little beating. But in those days it's not to say beating, to say to beat you thing. Because the discipline, let me tell you, nowadays, I mean, with the Education Act and so on, you have to be very careful. And I'll probably talk about school and so on and so on. But you had to be disciplined. And even if your mother, let's say your mother had a problem with the neighbor, you couldn't pass the neighbor and not say hello, or good morning. You had to greet the person. So I grew up under that really strict kind of, rules and so on and regulations at home. And I can tell you that helped me to shape me to what I am. Because when I was growing up, about 10, 12 years, it had guys who used to be smoking around the scene and wanted me to join them, and I never got into that. I mean, that would be a no-no for me, and so I have to be thankful for the way I brought up. So as a young fella, I used to even go up to the garden because my mother's aunt was married to Mr. Nelson, and he had about 3 acres of land above 1 mile in Portsmouth. And on Saturdays and so on, we'd go up to the garden. If my mother would join, we'd go to the garden, get our food, our provision and so on, so we didn't have to buy it, and that kind of thing. So I grew up in the garden, and that's why even when I left school at an early age, when I got the job my job was at Portsmouth at the 1 mile agricultural station. When about 17 years, I didn't reach 4th form, and then I had to leave school and so on for many reasons. And then I heard an advertisement or somewhere saying about they want a propagator and a timekeeper at the 1 mile agricultural station at age 17. And I applied and I got the job because I liked maths a lot, arithmetic then at the time. And then I got the job. Mr. Booley, I think, was the chief agricultural officer, I think, or Mr. Yankee, one of them. And I got the job and went to, very young, worked about 2 or 3 years as a plant propagator and a timekeeper until when I heard an announcement for the police service.
So we'll come to that. so now you are in Portsmouth.
Yes.
Which part of Portsmouth were you living at the time?
I was living right on Bay Street, right on Bay Street, close to the market. They had a big building, they used to call the lady Matt Johnson, who used to be selling cloth and so on. Right on the end of, just before you turn into the market, right there in that corner there. That's where I was living, on Bay Street in Portsmouth.
And what was the condition like growing up in Portsmouth? Toilets? What's the condition?
Yeah,
like?
Those days, boy, we had a latrine, No, before that, boy, you had to use your thing. You had your pail and your thing and so on. And there was a maiden toilet by the market. So in the early morning at 5 o'clock, my mother would go and, clear up her stuff. And in fact, the house we were living was owned by Frank Barron. Frank Barron, he had owned a lot of land in Portsmouth. So we were renting a house owned by Frank Barron and his land and so on. No, the house was my mother's house. I'm not sure how she got the house. Oh, yes, she was working with a certain gentleman from Antigua, Mr. Mandin William, may his soul rest in peace. And he had a little supermarket and 2 houses. And when he was leaving to go to the States or what, my mother bought that house. And Mr. Catty was then in charge of Mr. Barron's land. And we asked him if we could rent it, and we were renting the land. And she brought the house from Zikak to Portsmouth.
That was the days where you used to transport your house on
a truck, a Bedford truck or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So you had that experience.
Yes. You have quite a few men with some long pole thing on the truck and so on, and they hoist that thing onto the truck and so on. And they took that house from Zikak and bring it to Portsmouth, and then you had to put coconut peelers and all this kind of thing to put it. Eventually, we stabilize it.
So when the house, tell us how you got the house to move from where it was to the truck.
Yes, so in those days,
how many men?
They had quite a few men, at least 12 people, 12 persons, because they had about 3 or 4 on each side, of corner of the house. The house was about 20 by 25, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then they had some long poles, I remember that. And I don't know how these guys used to put that thing. The truck come, you reverse without the box or something, and these guys would put that thing, and they would be saying something, and fellas would be pushing. I forget what they were saying. I couldn't remember. And then the thing would be sliding, and one guy would have some grease or something, greasing up the poles, and then they would slide the house onto the vehicle. And then while they're driving down, guys would be on the side, to stabilize. You can remember the house was, wider than the truck. That's the word I'm looking for. Wider than the truck. And eventually they got it there, and then they made this coconut peelers.
By that time, Portsmouth had street lights?
Portsmouth, I cannot recall Portsmouth having street light. I think they had 1 or 2 lights. They had one by Mr. R.B.D. Douglas. They had one in the middle, lower down by Rudolph Thomas, and they had one close to the market. They were beginning to have lights in those times because they had the power plant in Portsmouth.
The reason why I'm asking that,
yes,
because I know that during that period, guys, there would be a guy or 2 guys with a big bamboo trying to prevent the house, because the house would be a little taller than the 3-ton truck.
Yes.
To prevent the movement of that house, to burst the lines.
Oh, yes. So they had some bamboo for true. Yeah, that's right. I don't know if it's... Oh, they had the exchange. I believe it's more the telephone lines, I think, at the time. Because these guys had some long bamboo pushing up. One fella at the top. And as the truck passing, they would push the thing up. But I cannot remember all my boyhood days, But it was happy days, But it was, but it was challenging times. But then also our house got there, and then we had no toilet. And eventually, I think they authorized, we had to get permission to build this latrine, and so on and so on. And then...
From the Ministry of Health or from the council?
It was from the council, and they had a health inspector. I remember Mr. Roye himself was on the Police Service Commission. He was the health inspector, and you had to apply or something. They would come and inspect because they didn't want you to put that thing anywhere. And because you couldn't be close to your kitchen or anything like that, in those days. And they inspected and they give you the green light.
Is it the Mr. Roye who actually ran for the Labour Party in the early 70s? Or another Mr.
No, that's no. Mr. George Roye was on the commission.
George Roye.
George Roye in those days, yes. He was a health inspector. And then there was another man from another health inspector from Collio. Mr. Williams, I think he was. They were the ones that came and inspect and everything and write their paper and do what they did.
And I can imagine that your mom would have had to get some alcohol, some white waters. For the guys who were doing the job on the truck.
Oh, well, yeah, I think those fellows used to call that galbanzo. I think I remember that word. That's why I heard that. I learned that word first. They asked her if she had any galbanzo, and then she quickly went under the bed or somewhere, and she pulled out a bottle, and of course, and they would fire that with their Coke and so on, and someone water or lime juice or some kind of thing. Oh, yes, you had to, when these fellows were pulling the houses and they were singing and all this thing, and you had to have drinks along the line to give them some energy.
I would like someone to call us to tell us the songs or the things that these guys used to be saying, because they used to be saying some funny part of phrase.
Yes, they were singing something, but I cannot remember.
Someone said, 3 police officers in a row, well set up program for the upcoming police week in September. I didn't even realize that I had 3 police officers.
Who you had before Mr. Weeks?
I had Mr. Steve Williams.
Oh yes, I heard part of it. I was overseas. I heard part of it. Yeah.
So it wasn't a setup.
Yes.
Viewer. It's just the situation where I felt the importance of bringing these guys and to give their stories. So it's not a setup.
And Police Week is very important. I'm happy that the current recent team of officers at the helm, because Police Week is an opportunity where the public and the police can, interact and bring that interpersonal relationship and help to talk about community policing and what have you.
So now you have moved to a new area. Where exactly in Portsmouth?
Well, after now I left Portsmouth and then we went to Zikak. We went to Zikak, Portsmouth. For some reason, even before I moved at my father's place, my mother had moved. She got a house, a better thing, and so she was actually. She got two persons from, I think, Dodan or Penville came. They got a job in Portsmouth and she leased that place to them and she moved to another place in Zikak, some concrete house where she was rented by. I cannot remember the owners, but she was in a better surrounding.
So she rented the land from Mr. Baron.
Yes.
She had her own house.
Yes.
And she was able to lease that house.
Yes.
That she could live somewhere else.
Someplace else, which was more comfortable.
So let's, before we go into the comfort, you said you had no toilet. What about running water?
No running water. I had to go to the standpipe. Or the standpipe was next to us. I remember the standpipe was next to us. I just crossed the road and the standpipe was right there. Within about 15 yards, 45 feet or thereabout, yes.
And your breakfast, your lunch, your supper, what was it like in that period living with your mom?
Well, we used to get bush tea at night. Because my mother never believed in giving us milk. But at the time they had a milk called Nutricia, I think. That was the day for the milk. And in the day we would have our milk and so on, or little porridge. She would make cornmeal. They would make a lot of cornmeal. And there was something my grandmother from Glenvilla, they used to make something, like almost a sort of cereal thing, like from cassava or something. I can't remember the whole thing. But these were the things you would have, and now and then you would have a little egg. And my mother liked corned beef a lot. Those days you could buy corned beef for next to nothing. And sardines.
So corned beef and sardines was considered the poor people food?
Yes. Corned beef, and even cod fish.
And cod fish.
Or saltfish, whatever they call it.
Fish, smoked herring.
Those things, you could buy that.
Fish.
Yes.
Corned beef. What you call it?
Your sausage and all these things, and these things you used to get that.
Vienna sausage.
Yes, you used to get. They used to give you they call it a shilling, or they used to give you 50 cents, 25 cents, and you go and buy this thing. You could buy your rice and your thing. But those days, things have changed. I'm not so old, but I was born in 1955. I'm not afraid to say that, and those days you could buy things. Your mother would give you $5 and she write the thing on the paper for you. And then she send you to the shop next door. And then you'd buy your things and you'd get your stuff and so on. So we had I never really starved per se. I can tell you that for true. Because my mother always used to say her children, she's not going to let them starve. I can tell you I had one khaki pants when I was going to St. John's School. And also to government school. I had one khaki pants. I would have to take care of that. Make sure it stayed clean Monday to Friday, and you wash that on Friday afternoon, put that to dry, and then that well iron on Sunday afternoon for school in Monday. Now, nowadays, children lucky they have 5 pairs of pants, trousers, and so on. I had one khaki pants and maybe 2 shirts, because at that time they used to have a cream or a whitish shirt, or I forget the school, or yellowish shirt, something like that. Probably had 2 shirts, but one khaki pants. And I had to be, man, if I come with that and that have any dirt on that, I'm in trouble. So you had to take care of yourself. I would play my little sport and thing, but I have to be very mindful, No,
at school, I know that you made mention of your teachers, but I'm sure that you remember some of your friends. Some of your friends.
Oh yes. In the government school, I went to school with persons like Dr. Irvin Andre. I went. I have Jerome. This fella is in somewhere in America. They told me he was here 2 years ago. I haven't seen him. That guy used to sing. He died now. Henderson in Portsmouth. The Calypso and so on. So I had Felix Wilson. No, he had stayed in. We went to grammar school at the same time, but he stayed in St. John's School. So the Andres, I went to school with them. Michelin Carbon, and but a lot of these guys migrated. Honestly, and one of these days I was saying, boy, I'm trying to remember some of the guys I went to school with. But I remember vividly, Irvin Andre and I, we sat almost on the same bench. And he was a very educated, very smart fella, very smart guy. In those days, we had smart people in our class. When you had a teacher like Neil Joseph, Mr. would teach you everything, from music to English and arithmetic. And those days, it was mental arithmetic. Because the teacher have his whip in his hand. And when he tell you, a man had 5 goats and he sold 2 at $10 and so on, and then he gave away. And you have to do the arithmetic right away. And if one was $10 and he had 6 and he sold and he gave away 2 and he sold the 4, you have to know your $40 quickly, and and you have to do the thing. And that's why up to now, it took me a long time to gravitate into calculator. I liked him when I go to the bakeries and so on and buy bread, and I give these people like $50 and I buy the bread and they tell me the price and I tell them the maths. They tell me, well, they have to do their thing, but I love so mental arithmetic, and I was good on arithmetic in those days. And the teachers were very committed. I mean, I'm not saying nowadays you have a lot of young people. Of course, young people possess a reservoir of talent yet on tap, but in the modern day school nowadays, from the pressures I had students talking about, the teachers could understand. They would, empathize with you and so on. And, but I don't know. But yes, I had a very good schooling time. I probably get 1 or 2 little things, but, sometimes you talk in school or you had marbles in your pocket, and just before the bell ring, you'd take out your marbles, and while the teacher you'd be playing a marble, and teacher see you playing marbles when class going on, you'd probably get a little thing. But outside of that, children are very disciplined.
Let's go back a little bit to the home. Let's talk about supper.
About
supper.
Supper.
Yeah, we used to call it supper. We used to call it or dinner.
Dinner. Well,
what do we used to
it's
say?
supper.
What do we used to say? Dinner or supper?
To me, supper we used to say.
Supper, right?
Supper. So before 6, I would get my little bush tea, a lime bush tea, sometime a little ginger tea, and you'd have your little bread and your either a little peanut butter or a little butter, and then I would get a little bread, a little bread, penny bread or whatever they used to call it.
So in reference to the things that you all would have used, your plates, your cups, names were placed underneath your cups and underneath your table.
Oh yes,
your plates.
Yes. We had it that time. It was the plastic cups,
Yes.
So you can't put the
tumbler.
Yeah, how they call them. Yes. And she would put for me a little A for my name, and K for Kenroy, and then R for Rosemary, because I think one time, and maybe because I was a bigger boy, they would give me a little more tea. So I think it was Kenroy who took my tea and so on, and then my mother decided she going to put our names, our initial on the cups so that we know our cups. That is true. I don't know how you remember that.
Where was Brewster at that time?
Brewster was with his grandmother. Surprisingly, Brewster now, he's our grandmother, my Faith Job, was living next to my Pampo, and that is something else again. We used to live close when we moved to Glenville. Now, Brewster was living with his grandmother because she had a son called Charlie Richards, and he had migrated to England, to greener pastures. So, before he left, he had asked his daughter, who is my mother, to send Brewster to live with my Faith Job, our grandmother, and Brewster raised up. And that's why Brewster is a good chef. The other day he was telling me, when I went at his place, I had gotten some lunch. And I say, boy, Brewster, boy, you have to teach me to cook, Because remember, when you live in with his grandmother, you have to cook. Unlike me now, I only learned to cook a little recently because my mother didn't want me to get to the stove at all. I couldn't go and light stove or light fire and to burn the house or do anything. So I never learned to cook. She never really wanted me to get into kitchen and all this kind of thing. So that was the whole situation.
Someone said while pulling the house in the guys would say, Baba Wule.
Oh, yes.
Anu Ale.
Baba Wule, Anu Ale. Yes, and they would put it. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Baba Wule,
Anu Ale.
Baba Wule, Anu Ale, Anu Ale, Anu Ale. Baba Wule, Anu Ale, Anu Ale. That is right. That is true. That I don't know who told you what.
The person name is Ceiling King.
Yes.
The person name is Ceiling King.
That's right. Baba Wule. That's what they used to be singing. That is true. Just came back to me. Yeah, just hit me.
So let's go back to the plates. So your brother felt that your mom was unfair, giving you the bigger brother in the house.
Yes.
More tea.
That's right.
You fought with him that night?
If?
You fought with him that night?
No. Boy, we couldn't fight. Boy, let me tell you, Mr. Cecil, Joseph. But my mother was so thing, she would speak to us and warn us, because she wouldn't just go and give you a beating. She would tell you, well, look, I do not want you to go outside there and do this. I do not want you to go into sugar or to rice or to anything. Anything you want, ask me. You understand? And when my mother, my mother used to make sure, but on Sunday we used to get the best lunch. But we had to satisfy with what she was giving us. Because remember, she had 3 children to maintain. And of course, Brewster had left early and went to Glanville to meet our grandmother. But yes, we got our bush tea, man, and we satisfy our little bread and our butter, or bread and peanut butter or something. And so on. I forget the peanut butter name. They had a special one, and so on. But in those days, it was all right. And I grew up, healthy and strong. And I can tell you, I didn't have any regrets.
And at lunch, coming from school, not those days they would have believed in fried, they would believe in roast.
Roast breadfruit.
Yes.
We would have a roast breadfruit and maybe a little codfish, and then she would do a little vegetable thing. But those days used to get tomatoes. My mother always liked to give us tomatoes. I never used to like to eat vegetables as such, but she insists that you have to eat it. And when we sit down, then we eat in. You cannot try to throw anything or anything. So we had to eat it. So we used to eat our breadfruit for our lunch, a little codfish or smoked herring, as the case may be, or sometimes
with oil.
With oil, or sometimes they even had a fish called kai, a small, you see, and she would have to roast it or fry it. But those days, these things.
I was just saying that people those days, Irish, don't even speak about kai. People are ashamed to talk about kai.
No, and that was good food, man. Up to now, if I see, when I go and buy fish and I see a little kai, I take in that, and I clean that and I find that kai is good,
Kai and cha-cha.
And cha-cha and these things like that, people, that you had in those days,
Mm-hmm.
You were not kind of thing where you could go and buy dolphin. We should buy a little thing now and then, but we would get more of our ordinary little kai or balao and so on, and your little vola. You get 5 vola, 6 vola for 50 cents or $1, and so on and so on. And that was what we live in for our protein and our different thing and so on.
So as you said, you would have your breadfruit, but banana. Well, we say fig.
Yes, well, fig.
Portsmouth was king of fig.
Oh yes, in the geese pack.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mother had worked with geese for some time. So when they have these reject bananas, if you get a bruise or a scratch, she would come with bananas and so on, and fig and so on, and then we would have our fig. In those days, you have to eat your fig. And now people don't want to eat fig, some people. But I still like my fig. As a matter of fact, Saturday, I just peel about 6 hands of fig. I went to Portsmouth on Friday. Some people gave me some fig or bananas, and I cooked that on Saturday morning with a little. Well, at the time I used tuna with it. I didn't have codfish, so I used a little tuna and so on with my fig. Put a little oil on it and so on, and I put lettuce and so on, and a little cucumber and cabbage, and I eat my thing and I strong.
Normally, people like to hear about Sunday meal.
Yes.
And the Saturday meal. We know most of us on a Saturday would have broth.
Yes.
What was it like for you in Portsmouth?
Yes, on the Saturday my mother would make a broth. She would either get some kind of smoked fish cut. People used to what they call it sale, balao, and the other fish, and flying fish, and we would make our broth. She loved that, and put carrot on that and cabbage on the top. I used to enjoy that. But on Sunday, boy, we had special lunches. Sunday, your red beans. You have to get your red beans. And she would go in the market and buy about 2 pounds of beef from a man called Mr. Sissin, a red-skinned man.
That's my uncle.
Oh, right, okay, in Portsmouth. You know Mr. Sissin and Saran.
Sissin Cognet.
Oh, yes, Cognet. Right. And so on. So she would send me and get about 2 pounds. You know, in those days, you get in your 2 pounds of meat. And Mr. Sissi knows my mother is a serious person. So he can't give me, go and put bones for me and bones. So you give it, my mother send me a note. I get my 2 pounds of meat. And on Sunday, the lunch was red beans. You get your little meat. But that was the best lunch. Was on Sunday was the best lunch, I can tell you. The broth was on Saturday, but the Sunday lunch, man, I used to pray for Sunday to come.
So what were you getting? Coke, Fanta, red juicy, or a local juice?
No, they had red juicy. My mother liked it, but she didn't want to give that to us for some reason. So what she used to do, we had a lime tree. She used to make lime. And that time you get in your grapefruits. You know, in Portsmouth and so on, she'd buy that in Saturday market and she'd give us local juice, but she'd buy her juicy for herself.
So mommy loves her red juicy.
Yeah.
And those days people not seeing the red juicy anymore.
They don't see that anymore.
Many years ago that just...
But it used to have a lot of sugar in it too,
Yeah.
So for some reason, she used to give us more local stuff.
Yes.
You know, make your little squash and your little thing. Might like that with brown sugar.
So
and
it
they put a
doesn't,
liquor.
it doesn't matter wherever you come from in Dominica, on a Sunday, everybody seems that they would have a special lunch, and in that special lunch would have been red beans.
Oh yes, red beans. Up to now, I love red beans. Up to now, today Sunday, we do our red beans, boy. I love red beans. I love it, honestly.
No macaroni and cheese.
No, in those days, no, not
right,
macaroni and cheese.
Right, no macaroni
and even now, I don't really like macaroni and cheese, you know.
When was the first time you ate macaroni and cheese?
Well, maybe when I come up to Roseau, I telling you, honest. Maybe when I come up to Roseau, I eat macaroni and cheese.
Okay, we'll talk about that today.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's amazing, eh?
Yeah. Maybe when I came to Roseau, I think I ate macaroni and cheese.
No, in those early days, pee bedding was a popular thing. Penis was popular. I deliberately using the word penis.
Yes.
Because we're talking about the Lakou.
Yeah.
Penis was a popular thing. Peeing in bed was a popular thing. What about you and your family? Your brothers, siblings?
Mr. Joseph, I used to pee in bed a lot, you know. And those days, you have to sleep on the floor.
Right.
Because if your mother have one bed there, you know, so she would put the bed in on the floor. They'll put a plastic. When you put the bed in, they put a plastic and a kind of thing, I can't remember, something like a blanket. Boy, but those days, man, I don't know, you know, little boy, you pee in your bed, man. Because when you fall asleep, I don't know, for some reason you can't get up, you know, I mean, you know, and you sleep in, but next morning you get up, your bed wet, man.
But I understand that. I understand that. Oh, someone was saying to you about the peanut butter. It was called Peter Pan peanut butter.
Ah, boy, that person know the history, man. Yeah, Peter Pan, boy. That's right. Boy, that butter was nice. I not seen that again. They don't have that.
Yeah.
That was the peanut butter. Peter Pan.
Yeah.
I remember that.
No. You're talking about peeing.
Yes.
I mean, don't blame us for peeing in bed.
No.
Because we would have, the house is in darkness.
That's right.
You have a posy.
Yes.
It was an enamel
kind
white
of thing.
Posy.
White, yes.
But
yes.
It is somewhere in mommy's room. If it's 2 rooms.
Yes.
And you have to get up in the darkness.
Man, yes.
So better you just pee.
Yeah, that's right. Boy, we used to pee in the bed a lot of times. I can tell you that.
So did you all have a posy in your room?
Yes, my mother had this big white thing in her room, the pose. And yeah, she would keep it in her room because I don't know for what reason. And she would have it in her room. And well, you know.
We must ask the elderly why they used to keep those posy in their room.
In the room.
My mom kept her own in her room too.
Yes.
You know?
For some reason. It was always in her room and the house, total darkness because those days you don't have light. So after 6 o'clock and all light go off, whether it's candle, whether it's this and that, you in your bed sleeping till when, you know, she'll wake you up at 6 o'clock or what have you, or something of that sort. You get up, young boy, to get set for school and so on and so on.
So no, but you pee. You said that you were Peter, what is it called? Pisanet.
Yes.
You used to call it pisanet.
Pisanet, yes.
Yeah, so you're pisanet. Yeah, in those days. And you would pee. What happened in the morning?
Well, in the morning they would take off the bed and put it somewhere in the yard on the stones or something.
They or you?
Well, I had to do it. I had to take off my bed because when I'm not sure, my mother used to stay from her room and she was a room but we in the drawing room, you know. She had a room and because it's a 2, you know, you her bedroom and you have the drawing room. So you have to put your bed, and shift your chairs and all this kind of thing. I mean, it's no secret in those days.
That's real. Those of us who had chairs had to shift the chairs.
You sit your chairs and
in
put
the
your
middle
bed.
where the table was, you had to remove the table, and you had to do your bed.
That's right. So when it's 6:15, 6 o'clock, well, again, I used to get up about 6:15 because there was a man who had a workshop, Mr. York, next to us, and he would put on his loud radio with some gospel music in the morning. So you had to get up when you hear that next to us, and you have to fold your thing. If it's raining, you have to put it somewhere in your kitchen, in the corner, in the kitchen, because we had our kitchen, fortunately, was separate from the house. But if the sun is out, you have to go and put that somewhere in the yard, on the stones, Or she had a kind of dresser, not where she was washing up dishes, but she had another one where you could off the ground, because you don't want dogs to come and mess up your bedding. So we put that on that there. Or she had a line, a bamboo thing, and you'd have to come and put your clothes on thing on that, and then monitor it. When it's dry, shake it and put it inside for next day.
So when you pee like that, how often you washing the bedding?
Yeah, we had to wash it maybe every 2 or 3 days, because if you don't. Yeah, because at one stage bugs came in the place,
I'm coming to that,
Bugs came in the place.
You're using the word bugs, and we're not going to use bugs.
Yeah.
It's penis.
Well, penis, they call it penis.
Not bugs business. Bugs is British. We're talking about the yard.
Yeah.
We're talking about
so penis would come in the house and they had to buy, what's the name of the thing, boy? They had to buy a thing in a tin. I think it was green and yellow.
Not big on.
Not bacon. Those days it did not bacon. It had another name. The person might tell you it had another name, not bacon. And they used to spray that. You see those things, the little insects crawling around the place, boy.
How big was
the house?
No, how big was the insect? The penis?
Oh, some little kind of thing, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how people give that name, but some kind of bigger than an ant anyway. Yeah, and those little black thing, you just seen them, boy. And when you see that stat, I don't know, that just multiplying, man, And those days, they were rough days, but outside of that, I mean...
So you never killed those penis and to get this...
Yeah, I used to think that, man, and that blood coming out and that have a kind of smell, man, and, and... Yeah, man, that used to irritate me, man.
It never bite you?
Oh, sometimes you're sleeping, boy, and you're feeling things just walking on you, Yeah, man. Boy, those days, man, it was tight, But after that, I remember when I get to about 15, 16, by that time I'd moved by my father.
Is it name Fleet?
Maybe Fleet, maybe something like that. Fleet, yes.
So someone told me it's Fleet.
Yeah. It's that they used to have in those days. Yeah, they didn't have. No, I can't remember Bacon. Bacon is when I come to Roseau.
And Bob Spray came after.
And Bob and those things, came after.
Yes.
But it's a flip or flick or flip, something like that.
Someone told me that the name was also Punta.
Well, I don't know that name. I do not know that name, but I know the flip.
Okay.
Yes.
And yes, go ahead.
So so it was kind of tight and rough, and eventually, now I got a little bigger. My mother had made a sofa. Somebody built a sofa for us. As a sofa, it's not as big as a bed.
We used to call it settee.
Yes, something like that.
Is it settee?
No.
You're talking about the sofa.
A sofa. They make a little sofa with some pieces of about 13 pieces of boards.
Just hold on the fort a while. I don't want to take your photo away, but someone is trying to maybe help us. Good evening.
DDT.
Was it? DDT.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the spray.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a spray called DDT too. I remember that.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, DDT.
Yeah, DDT.
Yes. So yes, we had a little sofa. My mother built a sofa for me. A sofa is smaller than a bed. The sofa was about I would say almost 36 inches wide, 3 feet by about 5 feet 3, 5 feet 4, and it had 13 pieces of board they cut and put on that. And then there's a lady, I think she was related to us. She was sewing. So she saw in those things they had coconut thing.
Just hold on again, Irish. Good evening to you, caller.
Yes, sister, good night.
Good night.
For the for the penis, it is Purina.
Purina.
Oh yeah.
Purina.
Yes.
Purina,
And
yeah.
then for the the sofa called a canapé.
Canapé. That
Yes.
is the word.
You're talking. I'm trying to think of it too. You know.
Yes, canapé.
Yes.
And Purina.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So they made that the
Thank you.
canapé.
Yeah.
But I know it as sofa, but you know, I
No,
mean,
so what's the British name, my brother?
Yeah.
Canapé is in the yard, isn't it?
canapé.
The
That's
old
right.
people say canapé.
I'm not so good on patois, but I know a little bit.
Canapé.
So yes, so I had that, and then well, then at one stage I just stopped wetting my bed. You know,
14
so it
years
was,
at the age of 14?
yeah, 14 I stopped, yeah, wetting my bed.
Most of us.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, a little more sensible. You know, you'd urinate before, maybe drink less water than you're going to sleep at night. You know, once when it's 6 o'clock, they tell you don't drink too much water or something like that. And then we were getting a little smarter, you know.
My cousin Justina said, "Oh my God, my real life reality."
Yeah, man.
Yes, that's something else. Eh?
So that's it.
Yeah, and another person said that you had to wash your bedding every Saturday. We had to wash my own on a Sunday.
Yes. Twice a week. I
So
would wash
and that pee smell wasn't easy, you know.
Oh yes, man, that was crazy in those days, you know, man. I mean,
And your mother would have had a coconut fiber mattress, right?
yes, a fiber, and that's what they made for me too on the canapé, on the sofa. They a lady could sew. She made the thing, and they put fiber in the thing, man. So that's what we had in those days. Is after that we get sponge in the thing, this kind of mattresses, but it's fiber we had in the thing, fiber mattress. I grew up with.
Someone said wet in bed or stop pee.
Yes.
Stop pee in bed. That's
Yes.
normally the phrase that they would say, stop pee in
Yeah,
bed.
that's what they used to use.
Yeah.
That's the phrase
Yeah,
that was
they would
used.
say stop wet in bed. They would
Yeah.
say stop peeping in bed.
Yeah, well, that's it. I just trying to make it a little more modern.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, no, we're talking about the yard. Eh?
Yes, and
We're
yeah,
talking
and
about the
Lakou.
yard.
Yeah, that's right.
Another person said that all you have jokes. I can relate.
Yeah. No, it's
But
true.
that's the reality.
I mean, that's the reality of life. You know, it's nothing strange to hide. Is I mean, you know, these are the facts of life. I mean, you didn't have everything. I mean, I didn't grow up with everything. Eventually, as time goes by, you know, I mean, I graduated and, you know, you get things got better and so on. I moved into Roseau with my dad and so on. And so when I started going to high school, and what have you?
I just want to say good evening to Agatha Joseph, Afia Francis, Avanel Samuel, Primrose Libla Baron, Yolan John Jules, also Alvan Christopher, Justina Cognet, Franz Mac Evans. All of these people are tuned in. I just want to say good evening to them. Yes, so you let's continue the life that you lived.
Yes.
And while you pee in bed, your mother never. Or not. Let's forget about your mother. Your brothers or your sisters you had, right? So all three of you all slept in the same area.
Yes, man. Same area. We have spread this bed in the drawing room.
So
As I said, you shift your chairs, your table, and you make your bed there, and we sleep comfortably.
that person has to say good evening. Good evening to you. Good evening to you, caller. I'm sorry about that. You never shift your sister in your pee bed. Never try that.
But
Get up
I
and
used to kind of move to a place drier thing until one night I even end up sleeping on the coal because there was carpet in those days. I mean, when you wet, you get up and you're feeling wet. You no longer you feel comfortable lying in that kind of thing, you know.
So you slide your sister.
You
in.
try to slide yourself across
and make your sister go into the pee bed.
Well, yes, in a sense. I mean, you have to do that because, I mean, the faster sleep you get up, but you wet down, you know, and you wondering, you know.
But but the pee was hot, eh?
Why,
The pee was
that
hot.
was something else.
Unless you get up,
yes,
you wouldn't know that the pee was very cold.
that's right.
You know, but the pee was hot.
Hot, yeah. But if you get up and you have to think again, it's primal.
No, guys, when you have to get up, my brother,
Yes,
you're shifting
yes.
and in those days, we not cancer. There's nothing called cancer.
Cancer,
Yeah, we used to sleep with our pants.
Yes, you have to
Them
sleep with your
old khaki pants.
old khaki pants or something of that sort. One that was worn out from your
Yes,
school
from your
days,
school days.
or something, you know,
Yeah.
and you sleep with that.
So there was nothing called.
Nothing.
There was nothing called sliders.
Although she used to
Or
use some
underpants.
flour bag and make some things, you know, for us.
Yes.
And so on. But
That's for the
that
girls.
was- yes,
Mm.
indeed. So that was how it was for me in my early days. But then after that things evolve and life got better and so on.
Now, I want to find out what that person is saying. The person says that, Cecil, when geese used to buy bananas, the foam they use to wrap the bananas, that's what they use on the canopy.
Yeah, well, eventually we got the foam, but that was a long time after. When things got better and more comfortable, you got some foam.
So another person said, that's Teresa Frigis, he said, everyone had their chores. We used to wash our pee-pee bedding every day before going to school, but as a rough mother, we were to have to do that.
Well, in my case, it's every 2 days or so, especially when it was really getting bad. You had to wash, because you would not sleep comfortable.
Another person is saying to me that that must be a young person. Fiber so harsh. How someone sleeping on that? But because we used to sleep on that, we don't even know we sleep on that.
Well, is that we had? I don't even know. All I know is that I on my bed.
Munsa your gen moon.
Yes.
Robert,
when it's time for sleeping, you're not going to be concerned about what you. Well, it must be a young person. But we used to sleep on that. But these people used to do the fiber. They would cut the thing and thin it out nicely and make these nice little mattresses. And it used to be comfort for me. In modern time, contemporary times.
And what someone said. And when you see cockroach, cockroach,
well, it's the same fleet.
Cockroach, flying by your ears is more trouble.
Yeah, man.
Boy, look story until you kill that cockroach.
Yes.
Can you
and
imagine?
Even up to now, boy, if a you're sleeping and something fly across you and you feel that thing, you feel, But yeah, in those days, boy, they would have a lot of roaches.
Yes, a lot.
And they still have to buy that fleet or the mop or whatever the case.
Let's go to the telephone. Good evening to you, caller.
Yes, good evening. Beside the fiber mattress, you also have jaw. Jaw is what you cutting in the swamp, and you have to put it outside. Is a kind of grass, and you have to jump on it, break all the little nuts. That was jaw.
Oh, I can't remember that one.
You can remember that one? Yes.
Okay, thank you. I can't remember that one. Maybe I was too small to remember.
I too cannot remember that one.
Yes.
As a fact, first time I'm hearing this one. Thank you very much, caller.
Yes.
First time hearing this one. I never heard of this
That's
one.
right. I never heard about it, but we had our fiber mattress.
Anyone who knows about it can call us and give us a little bit more information about it. But our time wasn't an easy one.
Yeah, it was rough in those days, eh?
No.
But the thing is that...
Sorry. Let's talk a little bit about the cockroaches.
Yes.
The roaches.
You sleep in and then this thing would just fly, and not one, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those things, I don't know. I buy this. We had, I don't know. I don't know where the roaches would come, but they would just come in. You have the bugs to contend with at night, and then you have the roaches again. And
what about your toilet?
Well, at the time we didn't have the toilet.
No,
after.
I'm talking about the pit toilet, the pit latrine.
Yes.
When you went to the pit latrine,
roaches all in the place, all around the place, all around the place. You just have to maneuver and see what you can do, And it was difficult time in the early years, early days.
What about ants, red ants?
And you have ants in the place too, so you have to know how you're operating in that space, so that you don't have ants, really having, a feast with you.
And so, what someone said. The worst thing is to go to a funeral, afraid to go to pee in the toilet in the night. When you see somebody, when someone dies,
yes,
you go to a funeral, you think the person will follow you, and you refuse to go in the toilet and pee. That's what the person is trying to say.
I can't remember having that kind of fear. I know when one of my grandmothers died, I was kind of either even scared to go in the place where the body was, and so on. But I didn't have that kind of experience, except for, I can tell you, bugs or penis in your bed and your cockroach flying around you. You had to contend with that.
Yes.
Until things really improved.
Yes.
Let's
go to the telephone quickly. Good evening.
Yes. Cecil.
Yes.
People used to use before good skin, well dry, or cow skin, put on the children.
When the people point not to think to the mattress, you know. In the 50s, they already one at the time, early 50s and 40s. The cow skin on it dry, they're using it, and the goat skin too. About this thing is for the children. So when you put them on the bed, after 10, they start to have some modern thing from the sex or whatever they call it, a brown thing you put on the children, but before it was animal skin.
Ah, okay. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone said, so why should one not give themselves the best life after going through all of this hardship? And you find children still not caring for their parents. What a life.
No, and it's true, and it's significant that you say that. Tomorrow is the Day of the Elderly, and of course there's the Dominica Council on Aging going to host something at the Fort Young. And yes, and that is one of the things, parents have really struggled a lot to, bring you up and so on, and then that's why I could never neglect my family or my father or my mother, because they really went through some, and your parents in those days, they sacrificed a lot for you. They always wanted to make sure that their children, even if they didn't have for themselves, they made sure that you had your meal. Can you imagine in those hard days, not much money my mother was getting from geese at the time, and washing clothes for people and those things. And then you still had your breakfast, you had your lunch, and you had your dinner, and she still had to provide clothes for you and those, so people have to be concerned. I mean, I have some parents that can be very difficult too, and can make it difficult for their children. But notwithstanding that, when you think of the sacrifice that your parents have done and made for you, you have to be concerned for their welfare and their well-being.
Oh, when now it's summer is ending, and you're preparing to go to school. What did your parents or your mom did for you and your other siblings? Did she give you all antipa, seni, those things to wash out and give you a bath?
Oh yes, every 6 or so months, often, my mother would give us something to clean us out, and that sort of thing. And I remember even one time when she gave that to me, I went to a Bible school. They had Pastor Johnson. He had a Bible school close by, and I mess up myself, man, at the school, man. Things, because they used to give it to you at a certain time where they would monitor and know it would come when you're at home. But for some reason that day, man, when I went to Bible school, man, thing just came. But they used to flush you out. And that's why the old time people lived a lot, because they never took all this chemical thing into their system. You're kind of more or less living on organic stuff. So you never had all these illnesses and all these things, I mean, growing up as a young boy, beside the mosquito thing, where I had some slight difficulties, until my body got more, resistant and so on. I had a good, good days growing up as a young boy, and I have to treasure that a lot, thanks to my parents.
Growing up, there would be leaders in your community for sure. Which are the leaders that you admired as a boy growing up in Portsmouth?
Yes. In the old time days, you used to hear about Mr. Rudolph Thomas, Mr. R.B.D. Douglas, Mr. Leslie. Leslie was one parliamentarian from Portsmouth. Earl Leslie, I don't know if you ever heard that name.
Of course, I know.
And
represented
yes,
after Libla.
Yes, right.
In
yes.
In 1960.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Mr. Maglo, Oliver Maglo, Mr. Angol. These businessmen, Mr. Robinson, this guy, Mr. Andre, who was the man in charge of the customs. And you had some good, respectable people in those days that you could really emulate and look up to, Portsmouth had produced some decent people in those days and so on. And even the old-time police officers, I remember Mr. Massinto, who was Father Thomas' father, Mr. Bellot, and all these guys, and so on. So you look up to these guys, and all these things, really, all these guys, and I used to see these police guys neatly dressed and organized. I used to say one day, boy, I would become a police officer. Incidentally, when I was growing up, I wanted to become a priest, up to about 18, 19 years in Portsmouth. And then I just changed my mind because in those days, you had Father King. I think he became a priest. You had a guy, Frederick Lamoff, he died. And then you have even Mr. Lawrence, the lawyer, all these guys. We had about 6 guys who went to the seminary, to the priesthood. You know, as a young guy growing up. Because I used to go to church a lot. I served a little bit as an acolyte, not so long. I don't know why. But then anyway, I wanted to become a priest, and then I just changed my mind. And I said, boy, maybe you want to go into either agriculture or law, that kind of thing. And then, you know, so it was in those days, you would see these guys and you would see a little bit of leadership and you'd want to emulate, you know, and so on. But
what in RBD, sorry. What did you see in RBD?
Oh, Robert Douglas.
Mm-hmm. What did you see in
Robert Bernard Douglas.
Yes, what did you see in him?
Second?
What did you see in him?
How did I see him?
What did you see in him?
Oh, Mr. Douglas used to be always well clean in his khaki, always in khaki. When he come up, you know, he move into Roseau, he have his truck or his thing, and he have a little bag on his shoulder, and he was well, neatly dressed. And he used to be speaking to people, you know, on the roadside. You know, I don't know if it's politics or what, but he would engage you. Or you would go to his supermarket to buy. My mother would send me. And he would always give you some good advice, you know, tell you something, you know, young boy, you know, be obedient or something. He would tell you something. Same thing with Mr. Rudolph Thomas. These guys would talk to you, Mr. Angol. All 3 of them were on the same base street there. And you'd gone by, and these guys, you know, and they used to be neatly dressed. Man, Mr. R.B.D. Douglas, I don't know if it's Matt Douglas or whoever, used to iron those khaki thing, man. And the man used to be well dressed, neat, man. And, you know, he was always a very warm and friendly person.
And they found themselves in business. So RBD
and these guys went into
Douglas,
the business.
In business, and Mr. Thomas himself today, his business is still existing.
Thomas and Son, yeah, Rudolph Thomas and Sons, yes.
Now, growing up in the country, the tongue.
Portsmouth was a tongue.
Yeah, the tongue.
Is.
Lakou, Lajables, Sukuya, these were the popular things.
Yes. You know, when it's 6 o'clock, I used to be afraid to go outside because the lady died now. We didn't call her name. They say she was a Chief Sukuya.
What's her name?
Living not,
What's her name?
That's how. Hey, well, look, I had the name in my mind. You just forget. Not my buck. No, it's my buck. But they're not Chief Sukuya. You know, not far from us, but they said there was a man. There was an old man called Mr. Dennis. I don't know what he did with a knife and something, and the lady stayed in a circle and she couldn't move, and they called people to watch the lady. Well, they had some in those days, man. You couldn't go out after 6, man. You're in about Sukuya. Or sometimes you see a light. You just see a light, something just, a bright light just going, in the sky or so. And they say it was Sukuya in those days. So I used to be afraid in those days, boy. But, I used to hear about it. But, they said they had these 2 ladies right there, boy, in the corner there. And
what about the Lugao now? What about the Lugao?
Yes, I used to be afraid. Sometimes I used to go up. My grand aunt, my mother's auntie, used to send me to bring tea for her husband in the Sugarloaf area, man.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you feel you hear a noise or something, and you think and something go up in your head, but I used to be afraid. It was young days there, and so on. But it wasn't something that troubled me too much. Eventually, I found out that was just imagination,
mm-hmm.
and people used to talk about these things.
I just want to tell my good friend Dennis, in reference to our viewing of our social media. Please check on it for me, please, so you can maybe do some adjustments. So, Dennis, if you're listening, you can try to do some adjustment. I'll be happy about that. Let's listen to let's go to the telephone. Good evening. Sorry about that. Good evening. I'm fine.
Yeah. Mr. Irish, good night. Yes. Yeah. You mentioned a few notorious people.
You have to speak up. I'm not hearing him clearly.
Speak up, please.
Yeah,
you mentioned a few notorious people, well-off people in Portsmouth. But that gentleman who had the business just at the back of yours, Mr. Perry Alcid.
Oh, yes.
You had Captain Mayville at the front. You had Captain Visa. He used to transfer things from Portsmouth to Antigua most time, you know. I remember the students growing up in Portsmouth also. But you're doing well. You're doing well. Thank you. Good night.
Oh, yes, he was talking about Perry Alcid. Perry Alcid, who had a little supermarket. In fact, this Coffee Alcid father, you know, you heard about Coffee who passed last week?
Yes.
In Roseau, the footballer?
Yes, the footballer.
His father was Perry Alcid, a businessman in Portsmouth. And then, of course, Captain Level, that was our neighbor. And the guy who spoke, I think I know his voice. He used to work in Portsmouth and that area on the road as a road, you know, with public cooks and so on. So, yeah, these guys would come around and buy their food and all the thing from, you know, Mr. Level's shop and so on, and Mr. Alcid's shop and so on. So, yes, they had some good...
And someone just said to me, also Mr. O'Neill.
O'Neill.
Yeah, the person just made mention.
I heard the name. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that person per se, but to me I heard the name. But they had some very good, you know, gentlemen, elderly persons in the society.
So talking,
the what is.
So talking about the Sukuya and the Lugao and so on, help us to have a greater understanding, especially the Lugao one. Was it because cows were passing with chains, or they were actually Lugaos? What were you afraid of?
Well, I mean, when you're growing up and you heard this name Lugao, and people would tell you, well, it's, you know, and you use these strange things, you hear these strange names, something would just go up in your head and you would just feel, well, boy, you know. And I used to be afraid to go out after 6, you know, or if you go out after 6, your mother maybe forget something and send you across to buy a little sugar, a little rice. You want to run across quickly. I remember one time about after 6, it was getting dark close to Christmas. When she sent me and buy something, I just dash across, and a vehicle almost knocked me down as a young boy. And then that's where, you know, I learned to have a little more organization and discipline when I was leaving the house across and not to run across the road. But yeah, you used to be fearful. For some reason, you used to hear that, and sometimes in the neighborhood you would hear people talking and giving stories about guys playing domino next door, and talking about all kind of experiences they had while walking on the road at night and all these things. They would see a dog there and they would see this. So all these things used to bring a little fear. But eventually, 15, 16, 17, you know, you grow that off your mind, man. And you just know, well, you know, you have to believe in God and so on and so on. And some people say, well, if you see anything strange and it touch you, is a human being, is not saying. But those days, you know, when you're young, on 9 years, 10 years, 12, 13, you'll be, you know, one used to be very fearful when you're about Lugao and Sukuya and all this kind of thing.
Okay,
I wanted to sleep. I used to sleep with my clothes in the wrong side, and I used to hear that.
I just want to say to Daniel Oliver, please try to get in touch with me. I need to get in touch with you. I'm seeing you on Facebook here, so please try to get in touch with me. No, someone just said to you that you're batting well.
Oh, yeah. I try.
No.
To recall.
Before we go into the next segment of the program, I want to find out you and dead people. Before there were no funeral homes.
Yes.
So people die tonight. Tomorrow morning you see they are exposed at their homes, ready for burial. People making coffins in the yard, or making the coffin of that person in the yard. Give us your experience as a boy growing up in Portsmouth when someone passed.
Yes, I used to be afraid of you know, when you hear somebody die and your parents, my mother want to bring me to see the person or to sympathize. I used to be very fearful. But you know how I got over that fear? When my grandmother died, for some reason, they brought all of us then. While is she dead on her bed, they make you cross. I don't know why. I don't know. You know, have you heard of that? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, they make you.
I mean, I never had that experience.
Yeah.
But I know many people who said to me that when their father, their mother, their grand, whatever, would die, because we had fear of the dead.
Yes, I was afraid of
Yes,
dead.
all of us had fear of
I
the
mean,
dead. And because that dead is
Even
in
when
the
I was
house.
a policeman too, when they had the mon prospecting and they put me by the mortuary, but I'll come to that after.
I want to hear that story.
Yeah, I was a young officer.
They would allow us to jump over twice.
Yes.
Twice or 3 times.
Yeah, I think twice.
Twice, yeah.
And not going one way and coming back. So, you have to come out and come back by the head and come back over. I don't know why. I had to do that twice or 3 times as a young, when my grandmother died. And that is where I used to be afraid of dead people, man.
Someone must tell us why that was happening. I'm trying to wonder why.
They say the spirit will guide you or some kind of thing like that. That's what people used to say. The spirit of the person will guide you and people cannot do you anything.
So what else do you observe, or what else can you tell us about when someone would have passed? And you said you can give us an experience of your grandmother. What did you see?
Well, I mean, my grandmother was there. I mean, and they would let you touch. Is it a head or a heart? You touch and so on. And my mother was telling, I was afraid. My mother told me, no, nothing will happen to you. My fate is your grandmother until, and they brought you. So, but I used to be fearful. I can't remember the whole.
So let me ask.
Rationale behind it.
So would you remember that they would have a nice white small pail, they call it, yes, pail, and they would have a ice and some grass on the stomach of the person?
Yes, I don't know why. Why was, well, maybe to
Remember,
ice.
No, we have.
They have the Linus, they have these funeral homes.
Right. So
yes.
So they were actually using
a
this
big thing, a big pail, and then it had some
stomach.
ice or whatever. You can't remember what.
And
ice.
They
put it on the stomach.
On the stomach. With, I'm trying to remember the name of the grass.
I don't know. I don't know if it had grass.
Pear pool. Someone can help us to tell us what the grass is. And someone is asking you a question. They said, was Sergeant Francis Lakou for true?
Where in Roseau?
In Portsmouth? I don't know.
I heard the name. I heard people saying that. I don't know. I heard something like that, but I really don't know, honestly.
That's what the person is asking.
I used to, yeah.
Sergeant Francis. The person must have known of Sergeant Francis.
I heard that name and I heard something like that too, I heard something. But in terms of knowing personally, I just heard. Just by hearsay. I used to hear.
All right.
That name.
So you cannot remember about the ice and the.
I remember they put in a kind of a sort of pill, the same kind of thing.
Animal, the white.
Oh, kind of whitish thing, and they would put some ice in it. Yeah, because I remember I had even gone by a lady called Maloston in Granville. They sent me for ice, and they put in that thing and put it on the person's stomach. I don't know why, but yeah, but you're young boy growing up there, you're not. All these things, you're not even really, really.
Avanel Samuel says that, yes, that happened to one of my family. That's when the person was afraid of the dead body. So it means that you too was afraid of the dead body.
Yes, I used to be afraid. I tell you, up to one. Yeah. I was a young police officer when they had the mon prospecting and they sent me at the mortuary, and I was lost.
Let's go to the telephone. Good evening.
Good evening, Cecil.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm calling from Guadeloupe. I'm listening. And let me tell you about that crossing over when your granny died. They did it to me too. I was born in 1955. What I can remember, I was about 10 years when my grandmother died. They said, when you see your granny love you a lot, for her not to come for you. So they're crossing you over twice.
Twice or 3 times.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
So you remember that one?
I passed in that thing too. Yes. Okay.
Would you, before you go, would you remember if your granny had this pill with ice on her stomach?
Yes, that put a pear pool.
Pear pool, yes.
Up on her stomach. Yes, I can remember that.
You remember that? All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I think I maybe said maybe Mr. Irish also. He said he born in 1955.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Eben,
nice seeing you.
That's Magwada listening.
Oh, Magwada.
Yes, and let me say good evening to my family. I have my sister, Amadel Samuel. I know she owns. She listening. Okay.
All right.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
And Brenda?
No, he's not.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
thank you. Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
listening.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. No, coffins.
Yes.
I mean, your granny didn't have to die for you to know how the coffins were being built in those days.
The coffin, I think they used to use local wood, you know. I mean,
Yes.
they would go and saw out some wood or somewhere, or maybe, I'm not sure if it's the boxes they used to use from this, what they call them, they have in them at the port. These things, they used to use pallets and all these things. To me,
I don't think they would use the pallet.
no, not the pallet, but they used to use, the men used to be sawing wood, local wood, and make the coffin. And they would make that in less than a day, you know, or a day or two. They would come with the wood in the yard.
Not two, because people, I don't think it was taking 2 days to bury somebody, no?
No, it was almost the same day in those
almost
days.
the same day. Let's go to the telephone quickly. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Maroko Shobod, Bois Blanc, and Body May.
Repeat the names of the wood.
Maroko Shaw.
Maroko Shaw.
Bois Blanc.
Bois Blanc.
And Body May.
And Body May.
Yes.
I know what the Bois Blanc.
Still using it.
Okay. All right. You know why?
Hello?
You know why?
Well, it is a very soft wood.
Yes.
It's a very soft wood. It takes nails. Mm-hmm. Right.
All right then. Thanks. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, and the men would come and they would saw that thing and build that coffin in quick time, man. You know, I don't even think they used to vanish it in those days. You know, they didn't even have that.
Yes. No. They should get this purple cloth.
Cloth.
You know,
and put around it. Yes.
And put around
strip,
the
that's what they used to do. Yeah, the purple cloth. That is right.
Good evening.
Good evening, Cecil.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, Mr. Irish. How are you?
Oh, good evening. You know, I'm there.
Okay. This is Tony calling from Guadeloupe.
Yes, my brother. I made out the voice.
Yes. And you all were talking about it was not a pail, it was a basin. They had to buy a basin, an aluminum basin. It's a basin, and they put in ice in it, and they would put a root out of grass either in front of the person that died or wherever. They say for the person's stomach not to get swollen.
Where they would put the grass? Where would they put the grass?
On the ice.
In the basin?
No,
or on the ice?
On the ice.
Or for it to last then?
Yes.
For it, I don't know what it was, if it was to last or whatever. But it was for the person's stomach, because remember, next day they have to...
Is an enamel basin for true? Yes, you're right, Tony.
Basin. You have to buy a basin.
Buy a basin, yes. You have to buy that by Ma Johnson. Yes.
Rose was by Nasif.
Nasif or somewhere. Yes.
And put it in the water and put the ice in it and then put it on top of it. And there was a little glass of holy water. When you come and see the person with a green leaf in it,
yes.
And you would make the sign of the cross.
That is very true. Why you good? I don't know how you know that, but it's true. They had that little glass in the water for true.
Yes.
And
I can't remember the grass name because it was like a hat.
Yes, that is true. I remember all that by my grandmother in Granville for true.
Tony,
do not forget, you had to put the whole place in white.
Yes.
White sheets was
all over.
White sheets was all over.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And you would have the daily bread. You would have the daily bread flour.
Yes.
The grass, and then you would sprinkle the dead.
And
Tony, jumping over. It was not too safe. It was just like they were asking for protection. It was a protection.
Yes. Yeah, I had to do that twice or 3 times.
Right.
Yeah, you jump over and then you don't come back on that side. You have to come back by the head and come again.
And somebody would hold you and pass you over. It was more for protection, long time thing.
Yeah.
Only God can give us a protection right
Tony,
now.
somebody say you have plenty age. Now, Tony, would you remember that in those days they used to tie the two big toes of the dead?
According to Oedipus, yes, they used to put up and tie the big toes of white cloth. Or according to Oedipus, more for staying open, they would take a white handkerchief and tie the head from the mouth go up and tie the head.
That's right.
I've been there. I know the things. I have good age. Any person, yes, I have good age.
And Tony, you also remember how they were making the coffins in the yards?
raised by Mr. Philip, by Mr. Philip, my husband.
Samuel.
That was
Samuel.
right. My Samuel husband.
Yes.
And then if he could not offer a coffin offered to you by the town council,
That's right.
and then at that time they were making the coffin close to the Windsor Park, where they had the truck, the big black and truck carrying people. It's a boat. I don't know how it was like. And from the time you see, they would say that was the truck, the boat that was carrying dead people to funeral. At that time, it used to park by the Windsor Park, opposite the
entrance, the entrance of where the red
Windsor Park.
where the red container is on the Winter Park. For persons who are trying to remember,
That's where it was.
where the big sign, where the big lighting sign is. That's where it was.
Exactly, because that was the place of town council also. So that's where they used to park the dead people truck. So it's
Right on target.
You know, I like these things. I like the comfort. That's why I was the first person to turn on. But I love these things. I like to learn. I like to be there. It's a very good program. Mr. Irish, you have good memory.
Boy, I hope
Thank you.
I hope I have, because I forget some of the things, but as you're speaking, it's coming back to mind.
Yes, because from that age to now, you remember from your childhood to now, it's a good memory, It's a good memory.
Thank you.
I don't know if you know that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
I'm
Thank
enjoying
you.
the program.
Thank you. No, Irish. You have to leave Portsmouth. Come
Yes.
to Roseau. When was your first time you came to Roseau? At what age?
I must have been to Roseau, first of all, in 1970. I think I was about 15 years or thereabout. I came up, 15 or maybe 14, 15. The first time I came up was to sit an exam to go to the grammar school, My father was, by that time, he was in Roseau at the Banana Association.
Hold that fort. Good evening. Good evening. Yes.
Tony just mentioned something there, right? The name of the grass they used to put in the glass, they call it have two plants, a big one and a small one, is cypress. The small cypress flower, that is what they used to put in the glass to spread to when people come to visit the dead, they would use that cypress. It's very, very small cypress flower. There are two types of cypress, the big one and the small one. So it's the small flower cypress we used to put in the glass to sprinkle the dead whenever somebody would come to visit the dead.
And they'd sprinkle the dead?
Yes.
And make the sign of the cross?
Make the sign of the cross, yes. But the name of the flower was cypress.
Cypress. Yes.
Cypress, yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Oh, yes, Cecil. I remember when I was 13 years, my mother brought me Roseau. I think I had to do First Communion. I made it late or something of that sort. And she brought me Roseau. And that time they brought me by Astafans.
Before that, give us the experience that Mommy says to you. How she was calling you?
Well, she was calling me Ainsworth. Yeah.
Ainsworth. You say,
Yeah.
Ainsworth.
Yes.
Creole, just talking about English.
No, English.
Okay. Tomorrow morning.
We have to go to Roseau.
You have to go to Roseau.
Yes.
What was your first expression?
Well, I used to hear about Roseau, and I always wanted to go to Roseau. Because when she would go to Roseau, what should bring for us now? I'm not sure if it's chocolate or some peanuts or something. So I was excited. And by the way, I think we had to pass Marigot Road, on a truck. On those 3-ton truck to go to Roseau. And we went to Roseau, and first time I was excited. And then she brought me at Astafans.
Before we get to Astafans, we'll get to Astafans, we'll get to Astafans. Yeah. So you were excited?
Yes.
Very excited. What time you went and sleep?
What time?
Normally you go and sleep at 6 o'clock. Did you go and sleep at 5 that day?
Well, I went to sleep just around the same time, 6 o'clock, to get up early. Because she said we have to get up for 4 o'clock.
Right.
4 o'clock, the vehicle passing. So I went to sleep early. But before it was 3 o'clock that morning, I get up. I get up long time. I want to reach Roseau.
You get up long time?
Long time.
What was the truck driver name?
The truck driver, boy. Who was driving that? To me, it was a guy. Is it Peter from Vickers that was driving for Bernard Tavern? Peter, no? No, I don't think it was Peter. Peter was driving. I don't know if you know Peter from Vickers.
I know Peter very well. As a matter of fact, he's the Saxon in Vickers.
Yes.
He's the one ringing the bell for the church.
Okay, right. But it was... No, there was another truck. There was somebody who had another truck. I cannot remember who it was. But that truck or is it Jeffers from Benz that used to come down? But sorry, but there was another truck. And then we left Portsmouth about 4. Because when it was about 3:30, you'd hear that truck, that horn of that vehicle, and so on. But I was up very early because, I was excited and really wanting to get into Roseau. So I got up, put my little khaki pants, and I think, I'm not sure, I had a sort of yellow jersey somebody had sent for me from abroad. I cannot remember where. And off to Roseau. So we came up, we drove up.
Hold that fort, drove up.
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening to you, caller.
Irish.
Yes, good night.
Yeah, the name of the other truck, right? I remember vividly. Reynoldson Margaret used to call him
Mr. Reynoldson, boy. Hey, how you know that? Father, you not there? You used to work in Portsmouth, not true?
I live in Portsmouth.
You live in Portsmouth for a long time. Your father here was here. That's right. Reynoldson. Man, you're good. Yeah.
Reynoldson Margaret.
Reynoldson Margaret, that's right. That had that truck there, man. So it's Reynoldson, boy. And he's so right.
Miss Adelaide, brother.
Adelaide, yes. But yes.
Yeah.
That is very true.
And the other truck was Bernard Tavernier.
Bernard had one. So Mr. Reynoldson, that is what's his name? His son used to work in agriculture. He living there at Monbruce there. Winston Maglaw. Yes, father. Yes, so that is Reynoldson. So we went up. So we drove up thing and then go up to Pocasset.
You pass 1 mile.
1 mile.
You're going up
Bon. You go up Dodan.
Ansdime,
all up there. And then when we reached
cold.
Afriton.
Cold.
And it was cold up there, mist and everything. But when it was going up Pocasset now, they had to go in first gear. Man, and that you have to take a good while. You could hop off. I used to see fellas on the tailboard.
Hold on that tailboard. Good evening.
Yes, and Patrick used to drive for Bernard Tavernier. Patrick in Portsmouth, he had his boss afterwards.
Oh, Patrick Foy from Kulibi Street.
Kulibi Street, and Peter Thomas from Vickers. He used to drive for Bernard Tavernier. He rolled down a precipice once. He broke his foot.
Broke his foot, yeah.
Yeah. So
that's in the
that's
70s.
John,
yeah.
That's back in the 70s.
My brother from Roseau.
Yeah. I from both places, and I know the history of Portsmouth.
I have to call you one of these days, because I want you on that program because you have a long history yourself.
Yes. Don't forget I'm a Benjamin from Portsmouth. So Portsmouth Vegas was a good loader. I'm from 4 places. So Peter used to drive, and Peter and Patrick used to drive for Bernard. And then the same time we had Magdo fella, he saw the truck too.
Yes.
And then my uncle Gilles used to drive.
Gilles from Bonn, not true?
Yeah, from those.
Yeah, he used to drive for Bernard too, I think.
Yes. No, he wasn't like he was driving for Mr. Fairways, but the name of the truck was Lady Tina.
Lady what?
Lady Tina.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right.
He's on that truck I learned to drive for my boy.
Oh, so you're from Northman.
Me?
A Roseau man, the shipping in Vickers.
I used to go down to Vickers every weekend for after school and go back up on Monday morning. I don't know how my holidays was in Vickers.
Oh, that's good, man. Yeah, you're quite right.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, man. So I used to go up that hill, going up Pocasset, and the truck slow down, go into first gear, and guys on the tailboard would jump down.
Give us the song.
And say again?
Give us the song of the first gear.
Kind of strange thing, man. Ring and like it going to stall and all this thing, man.
Yes.
Boy, but Mr. Maglaw, he was a very good driver, Mr. Reynoldson Maglaw. And we would go up, fellas, jump off the tailboard and try to see if they can race up with the truck, come back on board. Anyway, we get into Roseau. I think there was a lady by the bridge.
Where do you all pass? Kenfield or Lakou Park?
They used to pass Lakou Park in those days. Sometimes they used to pass Lakou Park.
I want people to just know those
things
because it's important.
They turn into Lakou Park and come up by the Lakou Bridge area there.
Yes.
And you into Roseau.
No, into Taru.
Taru, yeah.
Then get to Roseau.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Taru and so into Roseau. And then when we get into Roseau, my mother, there's a lady making bakes somewhere around the bridge. somewhere around there.
Adele Sol?
No, Matt Del Sol was there too. That is yes, Thomas' wife. Yeah, Matt Del Sol. Pulus was the man name, I think.
Well, it's this
Del Sol
themselves. Yeah.
And then they brought me there, man, and buys me some bakes, man, and bakes and codfish and thing, man. So that's where I had my breakfast, you know. And then we walk across. We went to Astafans, where they had to take my measurement and all this kind of thing. And then my mother got me some things. And that day was a really wonderful day because what she used to bring for us now, she used to bring either chocolate when she would come to Rose one thing, and she bought that there for us, for me, man. And it was really a nice time, man. That was one of the best days in my life, you know. You live in Portsmouth and coming up to Roseau for the first time, you know, and then you get that bakes and thing, and you get thing, and then you go back, you know, you get everything, and then you go back to Portsmouth.
Your mother never left you? You tell you stand here, I'm coming?
Well, one time, I think she went, when she went by Astafan for something, she could not get it. I don't know if it's elastic or whatever the case. And she tell me to wait there for her for true. And at one stage where I almost went walking and get lost. But I had to just comply with what she told me. And she came back though within a 15-20, but I had to wait because remember those days, she didn't want me to walk around too much, you know, and so on. And that was a very good day for me. I remember that vividly, coming to Roseau for the first time.
Where was the bus stop?
The bus stop? I think the same place.
Same place.
I think the same place, yeah.
Same place.
The same place where it is there by
Riverbank.
Riverbank, that was the place. In those days, they didn't have buses, you know. It's mostly trucks. Trucks people had, and maybe some guys came from England with this old-time Land Rover and so on. That's what they had. Mr. Green and these people had their Land Rovers.
No. So when you left Portsmouth at 4 o'clock, when did you arrive in Roseau?
Boy, you reach Roseau almost 8 o'clock, you know.
So 3 hours. Almost
3.5 hours to 4 hours.
Yes.
Because even imagine when I started going to school maybe at 15 in Roseau, before I start, one stage I had gone down to Portsmouth, I don't know what, and used to come up 4 o'clock in the morning and you have to be in school for 8. So we'd reach about 7:30. I would come up with a little thing with my tea and my little thing. Because by the time you reach, straight to school until I move up to stay with my father, where the Social Security building, the Mr. Didier had his house there and so on. And that's where I used to stay with my dad.
Someone said elastic. Long I don't hear that word.
Yeah, elastic. Oh, yes.
Yes, elastic.
Yeah, elastic.
Yeah.
That's how they call it now?
Yeah, that's elastic. Yeah.
Elastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. So you leave Portsmouth, get to Roseau, 3.5 hours.
Yes.
By Astafans, you excited. Your first meal in Roseau was bakes and
codfish.
Bakes and codfish.
And maybe smoke herring too. Because around closer to when it was 12, she went back there and buy more things again. I think it was smoke herring second time.
Yes.
Nice round bakes, man. You get your thing, and what I can't remember what I drank. I drank something though. Or maybe, I don't know if it's dumb fruit or what. They had the big ones, they had the small one. And
dumb fruit was made, for persons who do not know dumb fruit, it was made in Dominica by Leo Emmanuel.
That's right.
Yes.
That was very nice, man.
Where Astafans is, that is where Astafans in Fonkole is. That's where the factory was.
The factory was, yes.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Let's go back to the telephone. Good evening.
A very good evening to Mr. Cecil Joseph, the brain, and good evening to my good friend, Mr. Irish.
Good evening to you, sir.
Yes, good night, my friend.
Mr. Irish, I want to congratulate you on your retirement, and it seems that your brain haven't been faulted at all. You remember a lot of things like me. Because I remember, too, when I had my first child, I used to go to Wesley, and all what you're saying is true. We used to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning and take a truck to come to Roseau. I remember this very well. And sometimes, Mr. Irish and Brain and Mr. Cecil Joseph, it is very good that we tell all these young people about how we used to travel long ago. Nowadays, you take a bus, it takes you less than an hour, a few minutes to reach the town.
Yes.
And a lot of them don't have this type of experience. And I think people like you, myself, and those who will come after must always give the younger ones what we went through. It was not easy life. And I wish you all the best and happy retirement coming from Tichelopo.
Thank you, Teacher Luther.
Thank you very much, Brother Luther. I haven't got all the sartorial eloquence like Mr. Wicks, but at least I can recall the basic little things. But thank you very much.
No, having now to come back to Portsmouth. Give us that mission that you had.
Yes.
How did you make it? But before that, let's go to the telephone. The telephone's going wild. Good evening to you, caller.
It's not the Astafan Israeli or the Dumput is. The Privo is presently that the Dumput factory was.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's put it that way. At the back of Astafans, it's the same location. The same location.
Yeah.
You know, there's no difference in location. The entire area there. That's where, in Fonkole. Now, you had to now go back to Portsmouth. And the truck would leave at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, I think, yeah. But that day we left about maybe close to 2. For some reason, because what happened is that, let's say about 14 people come up on that truck. The driver, he would not leave until everybody come. But I think it used to leave at 1. But on that particular day, we left about 1:45 or thereabout. It was a bit late. So by the time we reached Portsmouth, it was 5:30 coming down the line. But at least it was a happy, coming up to Roseau and going back.
No. I know most times those of us who come to town for the very first time, when we see the trees, in those days a lot of banana trees, and we say that the banana trees following the truck.
Oh yeah,
that you never saw that?
Trees moving and so on. Yeah, little boy, you're saying, but you're saying, but how comes everything following the truck and so on? And then after that you grow over that and so on, and you understand the whole science and the movements and so on.
So on arrival in Portsmouth, next day, you and your friends, you have your friends, you're wrong. What was the excitement about now?
Well, I would tell them that I was in Roseau. And some guys would debate they haven't been to Roseau, or some say they went before you, and so on. And you're talking, and guys saying they went to Roseau, they went by Astafan, then they would tell you another place they went, which you didn't go by, at Nassif, and so on and so on. And, we'll have a whole little discussion, fair, nice little discussion, no fight, nothing, but guys would say, I went Roseau before you, and that kind of thing. That excitement was there.
So the most persons would go by Astafans and Nassif.
Oh yes,
these were the two big supermarkets.
Yeah, business places.
But you happen to go to just one.
Yes, Astafans.
So you couldn't talk about Nassif.
I couldn't talk about anything else, anybody else.
So that means you didn't see the jetty on the west coast, on the west side. Sorry.
Yeah, I cannot recall seeing jetty.
Because if you didn't go by Nassif, you can't see jetty.
I didn't see any jetty. I didn't see any jetty. But I was so happy to be at Astafans because you used to hear about that all the time, Astafans. And I was really eager to go there. And I got there, man, and I just, so I was able, when we went back Portsmouth mostly, I was at Astafans. And it was...
It's like before when children would leave Dominica and go America, they say they go to KFC,
Yes, or Coney Island or
they go
somewhere.
to Coney Island,
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Or something of that sort,
yes.
And you're wondering what is that.
So you could equate that with that, really. And it was exciting. It was really a joyous moment for me, coming up to Roseau with my mother and going at Astafans.
And I know you have Lapa Wall.
Yeah.
So I can imagine the amount of Lapa Wall you had when you came from Roseau.
Oh yeah.
And you had to chat with your friends.
I was Buster. According to my friend.
At that time, did your brother Brewster
Brewster must have gone to Roseau before me. Of course, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so. He went to Roseau because when his grandfather had come from England, and I think because Brewster was living with his mother, he brought Brewster to Roseau.
Oh, okay.
And so on.
So Brewster would have it on you first.
Yeah, man, long time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
No, you had a second trip. You had to come and stay with your daddy now.
Yes.
Give us that experience. Oh, your trip coming to Roseau to sit your exams was the second time.
Yes.
Right. Give us that experience.
So I came up, but I think I'm not sure to me. To me, he's on a boat. He came up that time. But I came up to Roseau, and I don't know why. For some reason, I can't remember when I came up Roseau. But to me, it's not on that truck I passed. Or if it's on the west coast by then, they had bridged the gap. I don't know. But almost age 15. 2 years after. Because 13 first came with my mother now, yeah. So anyway, I came up to Roseau, and my father was living where the Social Security is. the Didier's, it's not Michael Didier, his father, I forget his name, Richard or one of them. They had that big house where the Social Security is. And that's where my father was living. Because Mr. Didier was the manager of the Banana Association. My father was the financial controller. Eventually, my father replaced him. So they were good friends, and he was living in the house. I came to Roseau, living with my father, because I'd sat an exam.
Is it Mr. Didier that was you talk which are the Didiers? Is it Didier that was owner of Richly Trading, or Didier?
No. The Mr. Didier there is Michael Didier, his father.
His father, okay.
His father died a long time. I can't remember his name, his first name, but he was a man. He was the manager of the DBMC when my father was financial controller. So after he left, my father replaced him. But my father was living in his house by where Social Security was there. That's where he was living. And then I came up living with my father. My father was the one cooking, because the rest of his family was down in Portsmouth. You know, his wife and the children, they were small. So I was living with my father, cooking for me. And so then I sat, because I'd sat not the common entrance. You know, after, if you had missed the scholarship, common entrance, there was an exam. Grammar school used to have an exam before where you can sit, you know, and you pass your test. So about 40 of us sat that exam. I think I came 6. And then I started going grammar school, living with my father. And I would go to Portsmouth maybe every weekend or so, and then come back up to Roseau.
So what was the experience now living with your daddy?
Yeah, it was good, because I always had a good relationship with him. Even when I was living with my mom in Portsmouth, my father was in Zikak, close to the hospital, where his house is, the family house still there. I would go up, you know, twice a week up to see my father and so on. So it was a good experience. I was kind of, you know, familiar, you know, with living with my father, until then when he moved to Great George Street, where Pablo had his place there. We moved from, I'm not sure if they wanted to build the Social Security, but they broke down the whole house and we moved across to Great George Street. So I had a wonderful experience with him.
No, the person told me, someone said that Michael Didier's father's name was Clifford Didier.
Clifford Didier. That's right. Clifford or Gifford?
Clifford.
Because, maybe Clifford. Because I think, I wonder if he didn't name Gifford after Gifford Didier, but maybe Gifford Didier.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Gifford or Clifford, but I think he named one of his
Someone
sons.
just corrected and said Gifford.
Say again?
Someone just corrected and said Gifford.
Yes.
Gifford.
Right, so that's why,
Gifford.
because he named one of his sons after this man. Mm-hmm. My brother who died recently, my father named him after Mr. Didier.
Okay.
Gifford Irish.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Now you are in grammar school.
Yes.
You are living in Roseau.
Roseau.
A Portsmouth man. From the second tongue. And those days Roseau was a tongue.
Yes.
And the Portsmouth was the second tongue.
Yes.
What was the life like living with your daddy now?
Well, I mean, I can say it was kind of more urbanized, in the sense that you meet the Roseau boys. I mean, I met fellas like Billy Doctrove, Stumpy, Angol, all these guys, Bernard Shaw, all these guys. You know, we went to school. We went the same year, you know, and so on. Even Felix Wilson, my good friend and Portsmouth man. So we met, and then, you know, you begin to feel a little urbanized, you know, like you know, in modern times, like you're into the city, you know, and then, I mean, you're not, although fellas used to still call me country bookie in a sense, you know, but then eventually that thing got erased.
So fellas like Billy Doctrove used to call you country bookie?
Not necessarily Billy Doctrove. I mean, fellas like Washburn Coffee, all these guys, we went to school together. Not Washburn, but it had some guys from Roseau itself. I remember this Darren fella who died in Newtown there, all these guys.
Albert Darren.
Albert, all these guys, we went to school together and so on.
Good evening, caller.
You know?
Tell Irish for me, which one are the Bernard Shaw talking about? There were 2 Bernard Shaw. The president.
No man. The president would be his father age, man.
No, man. Telling me I think they said exclusive.
Okay, all right. Junior then. The junior. Yeah. All right, thanks.
Oh, how they call him? What's his Rasta name?
The junior.
Almani.
Almani.
Yeah, man. So Bernard Shaw, the Rasta man, the guy. Bernard was a brilliant guy, man. Mr. was very smart. I mean, he's still smart, you know. And eventually, yeah. But so I went to school. I mean, you know, the fellas from Roseau, some of them will tell you, country bookie, but that was just more or less joking, and so on. And I went to school, I went across. I went, to my first form, second form. I didn't reach fourth form. I was getting sick, and some people say it was some magic that happened to me. And to me, every time my exam come in, I sick, and I can't even remember the whole history of that. But anyway, at 17 years, I left the grammar school, and then I heard of an announcement. They want a propagator, and a timekeeper. I think it was Mr. Jones was the agricultural assistant for the North, and he was my father good friend. So somehow I apply, and I got the job at 1 mile Portsmouth. I left school early, 17.
So favoritism has always been existing then?
Say again?
Favoritism have always been existing?
Well, yeah, I mean, this guy, like, the man he knew me very well. Like Owen Philip knew me when he and my father were very good friends, and so on. So yes, I mean, not favoritism, but they were good friends. In those days, you had these guys, they were friends, right? And you have a good friend and your son wants a job or something. And, because my father never really wanted his family to work where he was working, in the sense, he was such a strict man. And he wanted to make sure that he didn't know, any form of his family work with him and something happened or something. So he spoke to Mr. Jones. Well, Jones, I don't know if it's Jones, so I heard the announcement. Mr. Jones must have told him. That is Frazier Jones and this other Jones' father. And then they asked me to apply, and I applied, and I got the job and went to Portsmouth, 1 mile, and start propagating plants. I used to graft plants. I mean, like today I picked 2 mangoes on the tree next to my home where I grafted myself. I still do it if somebody have a plant, And then I became a timekeeper and propagation. And then in 74, 75, when I heard the announcement that they're going to recruit police officers, I decided to apply. There was another guy who was working propagation with me, Angelo Ducre, still friends, he at Wallhouse. We decided we're going to join the police service. So we went to Roseau, and then we sat the exam. By that time, because I'd worked, I left 17 years, I left school. I went down to Portsmouth. I must have stayed 3 years at the agricultural station. And then by that time, you're getting more mature, you're getting more sensible and so on. You want to elevate yourself. So I applied to the police service. I sat the exam, and I passed the test. I mean, I remember the general questions. They ask you who was Irving Shillingford, if you remember how many runs he scored, all these things. All this thing was in general knowledge, the thing. They give that to you, man. And I always a sportsman. I always love sports. So I crashed that. And plus, the maths, the arithmetic part, I was very good on that. And so on. And then I joined the police service, man. And the rest is history.
No. You joined the police. Where did you take your training?
I do, yes. As a matter of fact, we were supposed to train in Barbados, but I think Dominica decided now to set up their own training school. Or to start back. They had stopped for a while. I think after the before the hurricane. They had stopped for a while. But anyway, I was trained at Monbrose, course number 6. I was course number 6. I trained with quite a few guys. 1 or 2 of them passed, but 1 or 2 still alive. About 36 of us went to the police training school at Monbrose. We did our 6 months training, and then we graduated. It was tight on training because you had to do a lot of drills. So I didn't get into the cadet corps in the grammar school. So I don't know why. I cannot remember. So I didn't have that regimentary kind of thing about me. I was a little quiet, soft fella. Fellas even used to give me Carlot and all this thing. So I was a kind of softish kind of guy. So I couldn't.
In the police force? Or on
No,
training?
before.
Oh.
Yeah, before I joined the police force, when I was at grammar school and so on. And even when I joined the police force, I was still a soft kind of guy. So the physical training and thing was tight for me. But when it come to the classroom things, I was doing my work, then I passed my thing, graduated, and I became a police constable in 1974. I became a police officer, And then I was sent, no, I worked on the beat for a short while. And then I was sent to traffic department, I think, to work with Mr. Lestrade.
Okay, so you on the beats in 74.
Yes.
Which means that you have to go around Roseau
Yes.
at certain times of the day.
Certain times of the day.
Certain times of the night.
Night and day.
Right. Roseau Dominica was in turmoil.
Yes.
Rasta, bad
Oh,
boys,
boy, it
black
was tight.
power.
Yes.
Did you at any given time thought, boy, you became a police officer at the wrong time?
Well, yes, in a sense, because in those days, when I just joined, they had a group, a gang on Riverbank called Kepasa and all this thing. One police officer couldn't walk down on that street. You know, I mean, and those days he had all this kind of thing, the Rasta thing, and so on. And that is why I think they had some problem in 75. At that time, by that time, I think Patrick John was the premier. And they had a lot of problems. And honestly, I can't say nothing for him because he took care of the police. And that is why you see he put a thing in place. People that joined before 1976, you could get 2 pensions and so on because the police, the work was tight. So I really joined around a real rough time. And really true, I was asking myself, my goodness, why did I come into the police service? The first 5 years, it was kind of rough. And the thing is that I managed my way through. But I used to be fearful walking in certain parts of Roseau, honestly.
Like where? River Street?
River Street. You walking on River Street on your own, River Bank, even Kennedy Avenue to a certain extent. In those days, it was tight, because there was a lot of friction. You had the Rastafarian thing, you had these gangs in Roseau, you had this and that and that. I mean, things have mellowed down nicely.
So which meant that you never visited Funkole?
Oh boy, Funkole. No, I can't remember. The only time it was, I remember maybe when I had about 5 or 6 years service, then I was transferred to someplace else, maybe the CID or traffic, and I had to respond, but not one person didn't go. It was 4 of us went to the Fokol area, and even there I used to be, honestly, I'm not lying to say, I used to be afraid to, even though as a police officer, it's true, it's true, to go to places like Fokole. I mean, now things have modernized, people have changed, but you had that thing there. But it was really tight for the first 5 years of my service, right down to even, is it 79 we had Hurricane David?
Yes.
We had the Hurricane David in 79. As a young officer, I got up that morning, the sun was bright. I was supposed to go on the beat from 10, but from 8:30, weather started to change and things started to change, and that was mass in Brooklyn.
So, before we go into the weather aspect, let's talk a little bit about what went on as a police officer. You all would have been directed to deal with certain matters in the city or in Roseau at the time.
Yes.
We can say the tongue because we became a city in 1985. So here it is that you are given instruction to visit some people and you do not know Roseau to the best. Tell us what went on through the process of getting to those areas that you had to go and ensure that you deal with the work that you had to do, criminals.
It was very difficult and challenging, to say the least. Although, and again, in those days too, we didn't have many vehicles. You get a report, for instance, to go and deal with something in Tarish Pit. I don't like to use the word Gota village, but Tarish Pit area. And we had to go in groups. And it was very difficult. I mean, honestly, the first 5 years of my service, I used to be fearful in certain parts of Roseau.
What caused you to be fearful? Guns?
Well,
cutlasses, words, fights?
Fellas, guys they used to be calling the police Babylon and thing, and you'll be walking down in Roseau and, guys would call you Babylon and they would say this. And a lot of things happen. I cannot remember everything per se, but there was a lot of turmoil, in the 1974, 75, and so on, leading up to even independence. They had a lot of little, rivalry. And there was gang. They had a lot of gangs around the place.
So what about Four Corners? And what about Four Corners? How did you all as police officers dealt with the guys, the Black Power guys in Four Corners?
Yes, that was something of a struggle too. But police had arrested one time quite a lot of these guys around the Four Corner area. Even there, the Four Corners, are you talking about close to Payless and these areas?
Yes, that's correct.
And these guys in the Black Power thing, and they used to have a lot of meetings and a lot of stuff, and they'd call you Babylon and all this thing. Eventually things mellowed down a little bit, and one was able to walk the street, but very fearful still, and a lot of things happened. And then I can't remember what year there was a shooting something of a Canadian guy around that corner close to Fort Young there, and so on. And those days it was tight, and is it not that? No. And then a few guys were shot, and they were at the hospital. You had to go and do security duty there.
You talk about civilians.
Civilians, yes. And then you had the problems in Bells and all this thing. So a lot of things, happened around those time between 74, 75, or leading up to 79, or even our independence. And then in the late 80s, things starting to improve a little bit.
So before we get into the 80s,
yes.
So I want to find out from you, Irish, Bells.
Yes.
Do you all would be asked by your superiors, inspectors or sergeant or the chief, whoever it was, to get to Girondale, to Live Eclair, Bells? When you all were asked, what kind of preparation was actually made for you all to be there, to visit those guys in those areas?
Well, the police had to be doing all their planning thing, but the thing is that I never liked this this army fatigue and so on. So I never like this kind of bush thing and SSU and so on. Not that I don't like. I didn't like. I never liked the military part of things. So I wasn't really too much into that kind of operation per se. But the police would have to plan because a lot of stuff was happening, and thanks to the the good knowledge that these guys had, fellas Archie, Samuel, all these guys, these guys were very good. Thomas, these guys from Wesley, these guys really, they were well trained, and police had to be trained and well equipped to deal with those situations. But I wasn't one of the guys that was too much into the the kind of army fatigue and all those things. I never worked in SSU or, that kind of thing. I for some reason, I was not fearful, but I never liked the kind of, to go in the bush and all this kind of thing. I was never that kind of guy, and I never got into.
So you would not have worked with people like Angelo Allen in those days?
I worked with Angelo Allen, but these guys were a notch above me. Of course, I met him in the police service. But these guys were highly trained. Angelo Allen, Archie Samuel, I remember that Thomas guy. They had some, even Peter Thomas himself. These guys were Sogo Fly. These guys were well trained. They were a notch above me, and I couldn't feel in their footsteps. I worked in the traffic department with Mr. Lestrade, Mr. Telemac, these guys. So I was more into into the city traffic department. Then 1978, when they had independence, when all these guys came and made some robbery, I was in traffic department. But I was on off duty, and I went to the Windsor Park. One of the guys tried to pull my wallet. I remember that vividly. I grabbed his hand. I looked at him. I gave a description. And at that time, they were living by Hostel Anselm. So I was able to give a description, and they arrested one. And that is how I got into the CID. Mr. Evander Joseph was in the CID, and he said, I want to see that Constable Irish that, that had some sort of intervention or connection with one of the guys. And I was able to, he brought me in the CID. They brought these guys. I recognized and identified one of them. And the rest is history.
No. At that time, as you're talking about independence, that you had this popular movement for referendum.
Yes.
You can maybe help us to have a better understanding, if you can remember, what are the kind of things, or the movement of these people in terms of asking for a referendum. Was it violent? Were they just having small, simple meetings to say, let us have referendum over independence?
Can you repeat that? Your voice dropped a little bit. I don't know why.
Okay, I was saying to you that in reference to independence, there was a group of people asking for referendum over that of independence. I would like to know those people, that group of people who were asking for referendum, how was it done? In a violent way, in a peaceful way, just having meetings? How was it done?
Yeah, they were having lots of meetings. And at one stage, some people, they had pockets of resistance, in the sense that some people felt that if Dominica had gone to independence and they were not ready for it, they would be turmoil and all kind of things and so on, and violence and war. But then, I don't know, Mr. John was very, he was a strongly minded man, and they had the defense force, of course, and they had a lot of little rivalry here and there, and the whole debate about independence, that was posing a little problem, because persons felt if Dominica had gone independence, we would lose everything from Britain, and we could not mobilize to develop the country in terms of finances coming into the country, and and so on, to develop further, and they felt it was too early. But Dominica went, and they had the negotiations in England. I remember a number of persons went up to England and so on, and persons beginning to understand after, and things had mellowed down a bit, but there were lots of meeting in those days. I can't remember all the folks' names and so on, but all the guys who, and surprisingly, the same people eventually gravitated to it and felt, we should break up from Britain. But there was a lot of rivalry, a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion and upheavals. There was things, persons were planning all sorts of things. But Mr. Patrick John, decided he was going to be firm on that thing. Mr. Liebler, by that time, had handed over to PJ. And I'm sure that they had strikes, they had all sorts of things eventually, and certain ministers were stoned and attacked. There was a lot of turmoil, but eventually we got our independence.
No, I just want to a good segue to go into 79.
Yes.
Were you one of the 30 police officers that were actually guarding the ministerial building the day of August 29, 1979?
Yes. As a matter of fact, if I can recall, to me there was Parliament.
Yes,
and there was Parliament.
Yes, there was Parliament.
And and during, and then a lot of, then I heard a crowd coming, because I was upstairs. I actually had to come down with my hands surrendering, so that I didn't get shot or anything. And there was Parliament, a bill was going to be passed or something, and people came, and there was demonstration, and I heard shots firing from here, there. But anyway, I came down from upstairs with my hand in the air, and then
Why would you?
Yeah, because
what
he had the defense force all over the place.
What message would you have gotten upstairs on the
We
fifth
got
floor?
some news that they were firing shots, and one guy was shot. I think it was Timothy, that was his name. One guy was shot, and then stones were coming, and then we were hearing, like, whether it's warning shots or what. I could hear the all the shots firing and so on. And then when we came, I saw all the defense force guys all over the place, and large crowds of gathered around the place. And it was really a scene that I don't really want to relive, to see that again. But I was so scared. I have to use the word scared, for want of a better word. I was so scared, and I saw the army here, because remember, and a few persons had tried to run upstairs. I think one or two of them had gotten to run upstairs. So you coming back, and you seen your defense force guys well armed all over the place. So I came up, like that, with my hands up in the air, to make sure that they see that I'm not one of the persons attackers, and so I do not think I was in police uniform. I was in plain clothes. For some reason, I'm up in the parliament. Can't remember why I was in plain clothes. So I came up, surrendered, and then I went to police headquarters. And then during the night and so on, there were a lot of things happening, all sorts of things happening. And then I think I had to dress in uniform, and with a group of 10 police officers, we had to go on certain parts of the city and patrol and so on to make sure that the government installation and so on. I think, was it the parliament? The parliament was there. But anyway.
Parliament was on Kennedy Avenue.
Kennedy, right. That's right. Kennedy Avenue, Parliament. But we had to go somewhere on the Bayfront. What was that? No. There was something. But we had to go around Roseau to ensure that, we maintain that kind of... Because people were threatening to burn Roseau and do this and do that. So we had groups of police officers on patrol in the city at that time.
So the morning of May 29th, would you all police officers, the 30 of you all who went to the Parliament building, would you all have gotten instructions from your men or from your bosses in event that anything happens, what should be done?
Yes, obviously we had instructions, but we were also asked to restrain any kind of excessive force. We had some instructions. I mean, unless life was in danger, life and property, we had to be very mindful that, we had to restrain to a certain extent. But remember, at the time they had the defense force, who was the military part of things, and they had powers to, to deal with certain situations. But yes, I mean, it was really, really on that day, 29th of May. That was a time I don't want to even recall. For the things I saw, stones coming from here and there, everywhere, police being attacked, and and so on, and and the defense force had to take real strong action to maintain law and order in the country.
3 months later, August 29th, Hurricane David.
Yes.
Tell me, what was the role of the police?
Well, Hurricane David, on that day, I think I was supposed to have worked on the beat from 10 to 2 that time. And about 8:15, 8:30ish, a lot of rain. No, it was rain, wind and rain. Because I remember when it was about 11:30, when they say Pottersville was under a lot of water, I walked to Pottersville and the water was passing my knee on the road. Rain, and a lot of roofs start coming out around the city, and boy, we have to say thanks God it was in the day, because had it been in the night, a lot of people would have died. And I mean, the day started bright, good sunshine, 8 o'clock, and then rain started, wind started. I mean, that was a terrible situation as a young police constable joining 74, and then 5 years later, that kind of situation and experience. Boy, I hope we don't have to relive. But yes, it was really terrible. And about 80% of the homes and the houses around the island was totally devastated. A lot of water. And I mean, we were, and just around that time, what happened? I think I think there was an interim government.
There was an interim government.
An interim government at the time, because I remember
Oliver Serafin.
When Mr. Serafin was the acting prime minister. And
no, he was prime minister.
He was the prime minister at the time. Yes, he was even at Monbrose. What happened? Oh yes, Mr. John had stepped down, I think.
No, Mr. John never stepped down. Remember, he didn't step down. But
there was a committee of salvation,
a vote of no confidence.
Confidence, yes.
And then they elected Oliver Serafin to be the prime.
That's
minister.
right. So Mr. Serafin was there because I think Miss Charles was offered the thing, but she said no.
That's correct.
She will not accept it, and she will go for election instead. And it was in 1980 she won. So yes, a lot of things happened. I remember, after the hurricane, everything people looted, and because people wanted food and all this kind of thing. And there was one restaurant open in Roseau there, that man he was from Cassie Bruce, Mr. Austri. And I remember at 12:30, That's where I got a sandwich. I had $5 in my pocket.
Hold that $5 in your pocket still. Good evening to you, caller.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Irish. Good evening, Mr. Cecil Joseph.
Good evening to you, my brother.
And I'm a kind of surprised and taken back to hear Mr. Irish, quote unquote, claiming that he was like, I won't use the word capo, but I remember growing up in Dominica, when you heard Irish, you heard Aimless, you heard Hammerhead, you heard George Cook, and through nose, your blood used to run cold. So I'm surprised because, you know, I know at this time you guys had Roseau on lock because of what these young guys doing today in Roseau. At growing up, people couldn't do that at all. Not that you guys was abusive policemen, that you guys didn't abuse your power, but when you heard these names, even if, you know, that Roseau was so structured, I would like to know where you think the police force went wrong when I asked Mr. Wick that question the last 10 years on. Because I don't understand the way Roseau is being run now, because when you guys, as I say, I want to repeat myself, when you heard you guys' name, everybody blood is to run cold.
That is after when I got brave. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, man, but we did a good job because, you know, in the time, the police officers were very serious in those days.
That is it?
Yeah, he gone.
Yes.
Yes, so I was telling you, we were talking about the only restaurant was open on King George of 5th Street. And then I had $5 in my pocket, and that, you know, at 12:30, man, I had to get some lunch because remember, from 8 o'clock things start happening. You couldn't think of food at that time, and you know, it took the Dominica by surprise in a sense. Those days, nowadays we have hurricane thing and we can prepare and so on, but it took us Dominica by surprise. So I went to that restaurant, and then the man told me $7 for the juice and the $8 for the juice and the sandwich. But anyway, I had $5, so he accepted it, and he gave me the sandwich and the juice. But when I get back to headquarters after I finish my duties, as soon as I get to headquarters, they're telling me that the same man that gave me that thing, and I was $3 short, and he gave me the meal, that the man had 5 fridges at his home. Somebody looted and brought at his home, at his restaurant. And I must prepare a warrant to go and search the man. But then I had no choice. I went. I couldn't go and call the man and tell him, well, boy, partner, look, listen. I said, I can't do that. I prepared the warrant and I go and search the man, and the man tell me, well, I'm very ungrateful because, look, I just came and buy a sandwich there and I didn't have enough money. And he gave it to me. I owed him $3 and I come and search his home. I told him, well, sir, I took an oath to do my duties. And then I have to come. When I went to the CID, the sergeant told me, prepare a warrant immediately, such and such. Have 5 fridges he took by, I think by either Buttons or somewhere, or wherever. And I had no choice. I got the fridges. The man tell me I'm ungrateful. I say, no. So that's the call of duty. I did my thing, and so on and so on. Anyway, the matter went to court. But I don't know what happened I can't remember what happened to the matter. But that was how it went. So in those days, after the hurricane, it was really tight. But Dominica really picked up. And then they had the election in 1980, a year after the hurricane. And then Charles won the election. And the rest is history. I continue my work in the police service. I worked in a few outstations. And at those days, you had some real good police officers. You still have some good ones here now, but these days, you're hearing so many things, you know. But then I worked in the traffic department. That was where I get my foundation for about 10 years with Mr. Lestrade, Mr. Telemac, and some good inspectors. And then from this 10 years in traffic, I must have done about 22 years in the CID. And that is where, you met some good, serious police officers that really, I learned a lot. Persons like Mr. Daru, Simon Daru was there. I worked with about 8 commissioners. And I must tell you, among the commissioners, at least 4 of the top commissioners I really worked with, Mr. Owen Philip, Mr. Ainsley Pierre, Mr. Simon Darrow, Mr. Lestrade, and Mr. Blanchard. These guys, I work with at least these 5 guys. I work with some others before them too. And I really learned a lot. You know, and in the CID, man, you had some good guys, good investigators. And men, police officers were respected after the turmoil of the early 70s. You know, and men worked tirelessly. And nowadays, people, I don't know what's happening. Things have degenerated to a certain extent. But then I have to say thanks to the police service too, because I was exposed to a lot of training. I remember on my own, I started doing fingerprints and photography with Bennett College in England, a correspondent course. And then when Mr. Philip noticed that I was doing a course on my own, he said, you know, there's an opening for England for fingerprints and photography. And he sent me to England. I stayed about 4 months in England doing fingerprints and photography. And you know, I said, boy, I wonder if I should say that. The fingerprints is one of the most positive form of identification. The FBI alone have over 400 million fingerprints on file. And no 2 persons have the same fingerprints, because fingerprint, I mean, is from birth, right? They have different patterns, the whorls, the loops, and the arches. And I say that to say that there was a series of break-in one time in Mount Daniel, and there was somebody from around Roseau side, Kings Hill area, operating and breaking. And then one day I just come from England, and they sent me to that scene as a fingerprint officer, and I got a fingerprint and identify the person who was doing all these break-ins in Mount Daniel. And when the matter goes to court, I wouldn't call the name. The DPP withdraw the matter and say there's not sufficient evidence. But fingerprint can stand on its own. But every day I'm thinking of that. I was just fresh from England. I got a beautiful thumbprint and middle finger. And on fingerprint alone. Because if you get my fingerprint here, and I have no business, I was not working here, not living here, and so on. I wasn't doing a job for you. I live in maybe Portsmouth or Granby, and my fingerprint is in that particular place. You have to justify and say how your fingerprint reached there. You understand what I'm saying? So on that alone, and it was a beautiful case. Anyway, that's history. So I have to be thankful for the police service, my brother. And I self-developed myself. I did quite a few courses. I learned a lot. I went to UE there and did my criminology and so on. Got my certificate. And I tie that in with my sports. I've traveled the world over. But I have to say, man, the police service, I served for 40 years in the police service. And everything I have today belongs to God and the police service. That really helped me to shape myself. Got the upward mobility. And I did my job, Cecil. And up to now, people respect me. I might have sent a lot of guys to jail, but for doing my job. A man breaks a place, I'm called to investigate. I investigate, I get the evidence, I bring him before the court. I did a lot of tribunals with the police too. I was always doing tribunals. They were always assigning me to investigate or to be the one-man tribunal to sing. Some guys were not happy, and so on. Well, but I was doing my job. And then that's what I was telling some young officers yesterday when I met them on the beat. I said, officer, you have to do your job fairly and squarely. It's not a popularity contest. It's not an easy job. It will be very challenging, but always try to be honest, And these are some of the things that my parents and my father in particular instill in me. And today, you find persons You know, they want to get rich in a night, in a day. You know, I still see myself as a police officer. And the way forward is the community policing, which I'm happy that they take it on. Yes, I was once the first coordinator of community policing. I don't want to say I did not get all the support, but if all this, you know, all this big accolades now we're getting was there, things would have been much better. But I want to say that the police force has to work together with the community, and persons must understand that the police have a job to do. They are the eyes and ears of the public, and they must work together. And which is something I see that's coming on stream now. More and more, the understanding is there. Because the old heads, when we work, we mingled, we worked with the public and the community to make sure, you know, that everything can be in sync. I mean, crimes will always happen. And Dominica, by the way, enjoys a very low crime rate in comparison to other Caribbean countries. And, you know, I heard a guy was on a program talking about he don't think the police doing their work efficiently. But in Dominica, police solve at least, there's a 70% solvability factor. I can tell you that. When you look at Antigua, St. Lucia, St. Martin, all these countries, we have a good solvability factor. We have a good police service, and all we need to work with them. Things, there are little things that, you know, they need to look at and focus. But I'm not losing, I don't want to lose track of the, you know, the program, but I just felt I should just bring that as a reinforcement.
So let me ask you, sir, did you, as a police officer, have any close miss?
If I had any?
Close miss.
Close miss?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, man. There was a Christmas time when I was on the beat. I think I must have been a corporal. I was on the beat, maybe alone. And a guy broke into the post office. And that's why I never like guns, you know. I see everybody now want to have. A guy broke into the post office about 3 o'clock in the morning. So while I'm on the bridge, on the, not the low black bridge, the bridge coming out of Roseau there, between the KFC.
The new bridge.
The new bridge, yeah, that's the word I should use, the new bridge. I seen a guy with a heavy bag on his back. About 2:33 in the morning. I'm on the beat. So I stopped the guy. And I said, hey, listen, I'm in full uniform, you know. I want to see what you have in the bag. I'm a police officer. Even though I'm in uniform, I still told him I'm a police officer. I would like to see what you have in the bag. That must have been over 25, 30 years ago. And I held the bag. And I held the guy at the same time with one hand in the bag. And I seen a lot of letters, mails falling down. Some of them have money falling down. The big bag, you know, huge bag. So I don't know how the guy got that bag of mail at the post office. So I held him. He started wrestling with me, but I have the bag, everything. And then Mr. hit me one punch. Right here, and I feel a little dazed, and he took off. I had a 38. I fired a shot in the air. He continued running. And then I fired bow. I think it got him somewhere in his waist. And I never see that guy again until I really die in Guadeloupe. So it was tight. One time I went on a mission and a fella threw something outside, a heavy, what is it now? Some cooking utensil. I don't know if it had hot water or what, and I escaped that. But other than that...
At you?
At me, yes, at me. Because I'm in the officers, but I happen to have been by that window, you know. And at one time in the police career, I had a traffic collision, man. I was responding to something in the Silver Lake area, and the police vehicle overturned with me. I got a cut on my face. Of course, Those days, if you get involved in a police vehicle in an accident, I was charged for careless driving, but the matter was dismissed. I mean, I was driving, the road was wet. Maybe as a young driver, inexperienced, you come in around the corner and maybe dirt on the road and you press your brakes, vehicle just overturn, and thanks God, I didn't lose my life. I just got a caught. I survived. I never really had any real serious critical thing in the police service because I did my job. I did my job fairly and squarely, diligently. Even guys when I arrested and they see me on the road, boy, you ready? Send me up there, But I think I was wrong, and I feel, there was a guy when I was in the police service. I was maybe I was a sergeant or corporal. On a Friday night, I saw the guy. He was on a motorcycle doing all sort of stunt and all kind of thing around the bridge. And I told the guy, I don't know, God just spoke to me. I said, guy, I will suggest to you that you go to your home tonight and relax yourself, behave yourself. Go home. Lo and behold, Mr. went to a fete, I think at St. Joseph, and the man ended up killing a fella, Yes. He went to jail. He came out. I saw him the other day, and he said, boy, I remember you warned me, But outside of that, I worked in the CID, and when you work in the CID, it's tight. 22 years. You had to deal with all kind of crime and situation. But you see, one of the things, if you do your job fairly and squarely, you're a serious guy. You heard the guy. Eventually, when I break off from that coward thing, a young fella come into the police service, come in Roseau, and you come, first thing you're met it with is gangs and violence and fighting and black power and all this thing. You must be a bit scared. But after when you get into the whole thing, and he right, they were respected guys in those days when you work, guys like Mr. Darrow, you work with Mr. Duke Savre, you work with Mr. Alfred. You had to learn fast. You had to think on your feet and you had to do your work, and that's how it went. So I had a beautiful 40 years experience. And I have no regrets now.
So how much the Lakou, how much growing up in Portsmouth prepared you to be a police officer?
Portsmouth days, I wouldn't even say Portsmouth helped me too much, It's more when I got into Roseau, right? If you come to Roseau, you go to grammar school for 3-4 years, and then you start to interact. That was where I get the preparation because, yes, well, maybe to a certain extent Portsmouth, because from school I went down to Portsmouth, as I told you, and I got a job at 1 Mile doing propagation and timekeeping. They had about 22 workers. You had to do the timekeeping, do the pay sheets, bring that to Roseau every Friday or every fortnight, and so on. Then I begin to, understand the real thing about life working. And then I got back into Roseau in the, 74 and got enlisted and trained. And in those days you had to be, solid.
No, I want to know about the mortuary.
The
mortuary.
Oh yes. So yeah, the mortuary now. I cannot remember what year they had the accident. A truck, people were coming from a gospel a crusade, and then the truck overturned.
They were going to a crusade.
They were going. They were going. Is when they were coming down.
Yeah.
And the truck overturned, and a few people died. I think I heard they had
28. I think
28 or something.
Yeah.
They is it 30 years already? I think they celebrated some 40.
Yes, it's more than 30 years.
More than 30 years. More than 30 years.
DBS has a program on this.
That's right. They had a program recently. Yes. So I was a young constable man, officer, Mr. Joseph, and then they sent me on duty at the mortuary. And remember, I had that fear for dead people a long time. So. And it was only when my grandmother died and they allowed me to cross and so on.
Someone said to me that the accident was in 1975.
75, you see that? So I was 1 year as a police officer. 1 year, a young constable. And then they sent me at the mortuary, my goodness. And bodies coming. you know, and I don't know, something playing in my mind. To me, I hearing some songs at the mortuary. I hearing some songs, I hearing things. I frightened, I afraid. I don't hear. And they instruct me that you must maintain your presence at the mortuary. You must be, you know, at least 15 to 45 feet yards. You have to be, you know, so you can see. Because in those days, you had people with mischief. People can come and try to pull our body, go with the body, you know, all kind of things. And I something went in my head, man. And I feeling like I afraid I can't say. And I said that no, officers don't be afraid of them. And I afraid. So I left I left the mortuary and I end up by the casualty area where nurses coming and people coming, man. And I think they in those days now, they having a corporal or sergeant coming to, you know, on the beat. So wherever you are, every hour they come in to check, you know. And I can't remember who was the sergeant or the corporal that came. But I not wrong. But anyway, I start seeing flashlight and light going on and out. And then it was about 1 hour before I finished work. So the sergeant came and I eventually met with him. And I tell him, I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to lie and tell him I go into the bathroom or toilet or anything. Tell him, so boy, I was feeling afraid, you know, so I had to go away from the place. Man, and what had get me more frightened, the officer tell me you were supposed to be relieving 1 hour, but we have some men we short of men, so you have to do a double shift. You see, yeah, boy, I remember 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know,
and you were in songs.
So I had to do a double shift. Man, really, when the officer went back by the casualty. I went back by the casualty. So when I see, because that time I was supposed to end at 2, I think, or 2 o'clock. And now they tell me I have to work 2 to 6, a double shift. And you can't say no and you're uncomfortable. When they instruct you have to do a double shift. I had to do it. Anyway, I did the double shift. I stay away anyway, but when it was...
Hold on that double shift. Someone wants to speak to you. Good evening to you, caller. Good evening.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
En affaire.
Parlez en affaire. Munani di an affaire. Mon pas an affaire. I know I'm not an affaire. I do like Beth. He just give me no. There was a police officer. I trying to wonder if it's you. Can you remember Eric Atidor, who was living in Virgin Lane?
Oh yes.
And a police officer was guarding him at the mortuary, and Eric was actually drunk, and then when he realized that he's in the mortuary, he burst the door open and ran, and the police officer himself ran.
I heard about it. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
You sure it wasn't you?
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Good evening to you, caller. Good evening. Good evening. I'm sorry. I hope
yes.
it's not an affair.
But eventually had to brave the weather. I mean, when you're a police officer, you have to expect anything, you know. And even the day after when they put me to work by the president there, the fear was still in me, you know. Because, you know, I mean, after all, you're a young officer and you're alone on a beat or some place, you know, and you're not used to that kind of thing. It will take a little bit.
So in your mind, you know, you're hearing the door knocking.
Yes.
In your mind, you're hearing people walking. So, in your mind, you're hearing people talking.
Yes.
But that's dead people are dead.
I mean, you're a young fella, and you know that kind of shocking thing, you know, and they put you at the mortuary. And not to say it's 2 of you all there. If it's 2, you know, you have somebody you can, you know.
You pay.
Yeah. But then you're alone there, man, and body coming and this coming and.
No, Irish. We have heard quite a lot of the police life. What else did we miss in the police life?
What time?
What did we miss?
Oh well, I mean, I don't think we really miss anything. I mean, I had a wonderful 40 years. I worked with some good police officers. I mean, it had good times and bad times, and the only thing is. it had gotten one stage before I retire a little political in the sense that people felt I was politically aligned.
Okay, politically aligned, hold this. Let's go to the telephone. Remember that last point. Good evening to you, caller.
Good evening to you, Cecil.
Good evening, my brother.
Yeah, Cecil, that's why the person called you and laughing because you like too much Roro.
Boy, not Roro. I try to find out if it's Tony.
It's your job you doing.
That's correct. I'm investigating. I'm trying to find out.
Voila. Yeah. But it wasn't Mr. Irish with Eric.
Who was the police officer?
I can remember the police, but I can't remember his name. But Cecil, if it was you that was guarding that mortuary, and you see the dog kick both open.
What would you Tony do? What you Tony would do?
Same way, listen to me. At the same way you going down the road, it's the same way the person in the white swallowing. What would you do?
And Tony,
what would you do?
Tony, the worst part about it is, Eric is living in Virgin Lane, on Virgin Lane, and the same route the police has to run is the same route to Virgin Lane.
So again, it's not even the police fault; it's the people because Eric was dumb. It was a cannibal tribe.
Yes.
So the people are just take Eric and just choke him in the mortuary and say he died. That if they had a doctor certificate or something to say that if he was a dead person. So that is a big lapse from the person who took him and put him. So it's not the police fault. I would not even blame
someone said to me the Finny police officer name was Ned.
Oh, maybe Ned Dupini. Oh, yes, Ned Dupini. My cosmate. Yeah, Ned Dupini.
So you see?
Actually, I couldn't remember his name, but the policeman had to run for his life.
Oh, yeah, Ned Dupini. I think so, yeah, my cosmate. He's in America now.
So I would do the same thing. I would even jump in gutter. I'm not good on this thing.
Boy, that story. Yeah. But let me tell you, this is crazy.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you are guarding the mortuary.
Yes.
We are dead
bodies.
Supposed to be. And then you are in blow, and it opened.
So it's all that was playing in my head too, I'm telling you. But Cecil, we didn't even get chance to talk about the grotto and my social work
I'm going to come
and
to that.
so on.
That's what I was telling you. We're going to go to the next. Yes, good evening to you, caller.
Yes, it's me again. Let me tell you something. Where that mortuary was situated was very scary.
Boy, you saying that in joke?
Yes.
Where we used to go at Chapo Quasi and carry cane.
Yes.
And when we pass in there, we pass there hunt.
At the back.
Hide there, you know.
At the
and
back.
When we pass there, running 100 miles per hour. That mortuary was a
very
scary, ugly. Imagine working at night time. Yo, they'll have to fire me, my brother. I'm listening.
Thank you. Yes. Someone says, yes, he was running and saying, a dead has arrived. Arrived. That's what the person said. I see my glasses. I need to change my glasses in those days, you know. A dead has arrived. Is the same way he is run, and the same way he's running. The person said that he used to get colic when he drinks. So that's Eric.
The same guy. Yes.
You know, so it means that a normal person maybe would pass like Eric.
Yes.
In the mortuary. You know.
Yes, man.
That is something else, man.
Yeah. So I mean, that was fearful. So I was telling you, you know, towards the end, my last 7 years of the service, people thought I was politically aligned to the government or something. But you see, as a police officer, you have to serve the government of the day one. And people have a right to belong. Because, I mean, even God himself came to save us in this world. And there still have people that believe in the devil. You know what I mean? It have right and wrong. So, if you see something, I mean, for instance, let's say I would be at the grotto and the government would give the grotto some assistance or passes, parents advocating for the inclusion of children. And I would come on the radio and I would say, thanks to the government of Dominica for helping and so on. People would say, boy, oh, Mr. trying to, align himself, But people have a right to belong. And as a result of that, that thing caused a lot of friction. Like people felt, well, they had persons who gravitated to that side. But you have a right, And I want to say to police officers and persons in Dominica, as long as you're doing your duties, because I was apolitical, that is to say, I do not concern myself about politics. But if you, let's say you're in Special Olympics, like I am, I'm the national director, and I write to the government and for 40,000 to help the athletes to travel to the World Games, and the government give me the money, I have to say thank you. Yes, I might send a letter saying thank you, but I can also say that to say thanks to the government, because maybe if I didn't get it, I would have said the same thing, I did not get it. So now I get it, I have to be thankful. And as a result of that, persons thought I was aligned. And even persons I work with, you know, they thought I was
let's go to the telephone
politically charged.
Good evening.
Chezo,
Yes, sir. Good evening.
that's my last call. Teacher Lupa. Let me tell Mr. Irish that Eric, I'm just going over because I used to live, my girlfriend used to live in Virginia. The reason why Eric was running is because Eric realized he wasn't dead, brother. He wasn't dead. So when he got up from the slab and he saw where he was, he burst the door and he was running for his life. He was running after the police. Right? It's the situation in which he was. That is why he was running. Thank you.
Thank you. And not only that, not only that, Eric continued running.
Yes.
Until he reached, after he passed the police station, he continued running.
Yes.
You know, that's
well, that must have been traumatic, eh?
Oh, yes.
Can you imagine you?
Ned is alive?
Yeah, Ned is in the States, Ned Dupini.
I wish Ned Dupini would be listening to us now.
Yeah.
I want to have that experience.
Yeah,
I
think when I was in the States a few years ago, I met him in Atlanta, and he listens to DBS. As to whether he's listening now, I don't know. But
it's Labor Day weekend, so I'm not so sure. So it's Labor Day weekend.
Yes.
Good evening.
Yes, that is.
Yes.
Ned was living back then, where Philip and son living there. And we saw in there.
Where are you talking about? Where are you talking about? Where?
Upstairs in next to
by the school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where Kelvin and little boy is living.
In my area now speaking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now Eric Warren himself, passed out in the grotto with 40 millimeter between two dead persons. So when he get a man between two dead persons, when that make him run for his life. So now, not knowing the man running there, Ned, say almost the same place, so he say all the way to the man following him. But he going all to the same place. So that was his sin.
Yes, thanks.
I think so. He lived in close proximity.
Yes, yeah. I really, and now that I know the police officer name, Ned Dupini, I'm going to ask anybody that knows of Ned Dupini to get in touch with me.
Yeah.
Because I want to have an interview.
Yeah, they said he was here a few years ago. I don't know, but I haven't got his contact now. I could ask a friend of mine in New York.
Yeah.
I think they used to be friends.
Yes. I need that. I need that number to call Mr. Man. We need to have a chat. No, away from the police.
Yes.
Away from police in business and matters. You are now involved in what? What are you involved in now those days?
What am I involved in now?
Yes.
Oh yes, well of course. I had served as a volunteer on the Grotto board for about 35 years. So I finally, last year, I felt it was taking a toll. I had too many things on my head. So I gave up. But I still assist them to a certain extent. They have a new board. But I'm the National Director of Special Olympics Dominica. Mrs. Aga was the director from 1988 when they started. And she came on board and wrote to Mr. Pierre, the then commissioner, and Mr. Blanchard, I think. And they asked me to assist Special Olympics. They were going to Connecticut in 1995. And then I assisted in the law enforcement touch run. I organized things. And we raised 19,000, gave it to them. 1999, same thing. So then Mrs. Sager told me, why don't you stay on board? So I became her chairman. So when she was in 2011, she told me, Mr. Irish, I don't think I can make it again. You'll have to take over. So I took over from Special Olympics from Mrs. Aga as National Director. But I've been on board for over 25 years. And I can tell you, every Saturday we train the athletes. And even now we're doing up training for basketball. There's a competition coming in Guadeloupe, 8 countries in the region. So we're doing some training. So special, I have that kind of heart and that soft spot to help. And right now, I'm also the president of PASIS. Emil Lancelot Sr., he and I were some of the founding members on that thing, Parents Advocating for the Inclusion of Children with Disability. So, the government of Dominica and BNTF gave us a $1.2 million in 2011 or thereabout. We built the facility in Portsmouth. Thanks to Mr. Douglas, Ian, and Mr. Austri, gave us this land in chance, 50-year, peppercorn price, $10 a year, and so on. And then we built the facility. We got this $1.2 million. So the facility now was closed for the last 2 years because of lack of funding. But I must tell you, I wrote to the government about a week ago, and within 4 days we got an injection of funds. So I'm trying to reopen now in the next month or so, because we have 14 children challenged with disabilities from St. Joseph to Sally Bear area, Marigot, coming to the center every day, getting 2 hot meals, doing their motor activities, doing their thing, and then center was closed for the last 2 years, almost 2 years, and now with the injection of funds I got there last week, I'm going to reopen. So that is what I do. And of course I had a son who was challenged, born at 7 months, cerebral palsy. Some people claim he would die in 2 days. He lived for 28 years, died 4 years ago. So that again inspired me to get to help, the children with disabilities and so on. And I get energy because, when you're working with these people and you feel you can give back to society. So that I've spent most of my time. And even in the sports, I used to be on the Olympic committee before, so for about 10 years. So I had about 10 organizations, but now I gave up about 5 of them, or about 6 of them, to concentrate on 1 or 2. You have to kind of prepare. You can't be there all the time, so somebody new have to come and take over. But, I continue to do my best. Even with the police, I'm still always willing to work with the police, because I can tell you, beside God, everything that I have today is from the police force. And I improve myself by doing a lot of courses. I got training overseas. I went to Japan. I went to China. And one of the things I feeling nice about myself too in the police service, I went to Japan about in 2004. And I was training in England in fingerprints, the Henry system of fingerprints. And the Japan have a different type of fingerprints system. And when they found out I knew about Henry's system, they brought 10 professors for me to speak to them for 30 minutes on the Henry system of fingerprints. And Japan was so happy that when I retired from the force, I'd done criminal identification in Japan. They made me the security liaison officer for Dominica for 2 years. And the only reason that I'm not the liaison officer now for Japan, security liaison officer, is after they pull out from Dominica, the fisheries thing, they're still helping. I'm not sure. I don't want to say that. Some people say it's as China is in Dominica, Japan, but no. So when they left, they had no reason to keep me as a liaison officer. And honestly, they were paying me decently after I retire. I retired in 2015, and shortly thereafter, and all along, they were always telling me, they were so happy with. Can you imagine? You come in from Dominica as a fingerprint officer, a police officer, and 10 professors that are dealing with the Japanese fingerprint style. I have to lecture them for 30 minutes on the Henry system of fingerprint and show them things, the method of identification and all those things. Not that Japan have everything, but they just wanted the knowledge. And I could do that. And even when I went to China, I was training China also. And China was so happy with me. When I was coming back, they put me in the first class on the plane. Everything. I even get shoes and everything and all kind of pillow and thing you could, comfortable, So it depends on what you do. in the sporting world. I just came from Indianapolis 2 weeks ago on a Special Olympics. Julian Benjamin is sports teacher and deputy principal from Grand Bay School. America, they call us to come up. They called me to come up to the meeting, and I told them I have no money for Special Olympics. They sent the ticket, and they told me, can you bring up your sports director, Julian Benjamin? And both of us went up for 9 days in Indianapolis. All expenses paid. 400 people in the conference. Wonderful conference. And they're happy with Dominica. We have 65 athletes registered on our system and 39 active. And the reports and the presentation and the work that I do for Special Olympics in Dominica and the Caribbean, man, they recognize that, and they invited me to come up there and to the conference, and was able to speak to the people and tell them about Dominica. And everywhere I go, I always promote our country. I always promote Dominica because Dominica belongs to us. You see nowadays, people go on the radio and they say all sort of things. You might have your political differences, but Dominica belongs to us. And a lot of people now with the electronic media and the way things go in, you have your internet, Instagram, people all over the world. You say something here now, sometimes people calling me from New York and the States, and they're telling me things that are happening in Dominica that I do not know. So I'm saying, boy, we have to be patriotic, irrespective of our affiliations, political affiliations or not. We have to remember Dominica belongs to us. And today it might be Mr. A, tomorrow might be Mr. B. And what we want to see is the country move on. And my dream is to see our international airport come on stream, and to see the geothermal energy, and to see that people can get work. When you look at Antigua, I was looking at Antigua news every night they have a thing on the ABS on YouTube, and you see the amount of things that are happening, and you see Dominica is taking its tone, coming on stream. We want to see those sort of things so the young people can engage in clinical stuff and wholesome activities. And I believe the thrust that is in the air now in terms of development, that in itself will be a fillip for the productivity in the country and to ensure that the country move forward. So I think persons have to work together, or police, the whole citizenry, and so on. There will be challenges. World over, it's not easy. Because when you go to the United States of America and you hear people say, and then I came from England 4 months ago, and when people go into the supermarket, you hear them talking and they're complaining the prices have changed. Remember you have the war up in the Ukraine war and Russia and so on, and the Middle East, and you have all these things are happening. I mean, it might be biblical, it might be prophecy, but persons have to understand, we have to appreciate that nature island, Dominica. Just yesterday, some people called me from this New York. They're trying to get seats, they're trying to get housing for Dominica during the Creole Festival, and everything is booked. My friend called me yesterday and he said, boy, Irish, I know you have a little downstairs, but somebody took it already. So everything is not a melting pot. Everything would not happen overnight, but I can see the prospects. I mean, it's true a lot of young people live in school, intelligent people, and I'm sure now with all the mechanisms, all the things that have been put in place, and I'm not preaching or trying to support any one or the other. I am saying that this country belongs to us, and what we need is everyone to put their hand on deck, put your shoulder to the wheel, and let us see how we can transform the economy, how we can change things, how we can unite. That kind of thing. We need that kind of unity in the country. We need that kind of love. We need the service. We need to be each other's keeper. We need to look at each other's back. And even I can even say that from my standpoint, I work most of my years in the police service as a crime prevention officer also, CID and so on. I want to say to persons who have the tendency to want to have guns, that they should desist from getting engaged in firearms. I stayed in the police service for 40 years, And I never owned a firearm. You know, firearms give you false bravery, you know, and so on. And one shot I fired 30 years ago, 35 years ago, a man died. I mean, I was doing my legal duty when a guy punch you on duty and he escaping and he go in and he go into the bag of mail, people monies and this, you know. But beside the point, we are fortunate in this country, Nature Island. You know, I seen fruits. The other day I was in New York and you have to buy everything. In Dominica you get in mangoes. You can get mangoes, you can get bananas, you can get everything. So we have to work together. It's not going to be easy. Things are getting tighter all over, world over. But if we can work in sync to see if we can move the country forward, I think that will be a better endeavor for everyone in our society.
Let me ask you, Mr. Irish. Speaking of your upbringing, the struggles of your days, to what we are seeing now, what do you make of Dominica?
Well, I am saying, some people have gotten so modern that they have forgotten the old tradition. Because I still have a coal pot. I have some coals. So if, let's say, they have no gas, no, liquid petroleum, a cylinder, you can't get a cylinder, something happened, God forbid, in the hurricane season. I can go back and light my coal pot. I can light my thing, you know. And so people have gotten so modern that they have forgotten the old tradition. And that is what we have to revisit, because that is why even now on your program you tap into the experience of the older ones or the people that have the knowledge and the experience. And that program is a very good program, Lakou, talking about the backyard, things that you have done before. So I think the young people, I never blame them. I think they have a reservoir of talent yet untapped. They have, look, a child of 16, 17 years got 19 CXC passes. I couldn't dream of that. You know, in those days, you do 5 and 6 and 4. You understand what I'm saying? 16 years. And they have 9 ones, 8 ones. So, we have a young generation that need to, gravitate towards, development. One of these days, I wanted a plumber. I see so many young people around, boy. Plumbing is not so difficult. And one of these days, I go into the college to learn plumbing. And then a plumber came at my home and he did some repairs the other day. It's very good. And then he tell me, Mr. Irish, when you have a simple thing like that, that is what to do. And a pipe broke on a Sunday. And I remember what the guy told me, and I went and I repaired it. I repaired it. It's now 4 years since I repaired it. It never leaked again. You know? And so another thing, one thing I would like to see the government do, really, I'm going to say that. We need to revisit the youth camp. I know a lot of people that are successful today, they went for the youth camp. And you don't have to be a militant thing. Guys under between 14, 12 and 30, unemployed, instead of staying at the roadside, you build a youth camp, whether it's back to London area or whether on the West Coast. You build that. And you have skilled persons, mechanic, auto body repair. Of course, we know in the grammar school that's going to start again. I remember when I went there, Mr. Adams was there. These guys, they were learning skills. They were doing everything. Even though you had the academic know-how and what have you. But guys, learn, engineering. The Goodwill School going to open just now, the secondary. They're going to have this kind of thing. We need more plumbers. We need more guys to do electrical work. We need that kind of thing. Skill sets. Not everybody is caught for the academics. You know, I learned late. In life, I learned late. I was able to upgrade myself and go and do things and do additional class, do this and that. And, and got certificates and I have a lot of certificates, And so I'm saying, persons, young, if you have that kind of thing, Guyana, for instance, when they had this skills thing, a lot of guys, some of them lawyers, some everything, they went to that kind of program. I think we need that hands-on skill set thing. If you can do that, if they can put a school somewhere just for this thing, to learn plumbing, to learn masonry, to learn electricals, to learn all these basic skills, I think that will augur well, and that is the way forward. And I remember when I was a police sergeant in Marigot, we talking police too, and then Mr. James, quite frankly, he was the Prime Minister, and he visited the police station, and he asked me, what can I do? Because there were some incidents with some young guy. What can we do to really minimize the lawlessness with young people in that area? And I tell him, so quite frankly, 3 things I want you to do. 1, you build a computer center, everything for training young persons in the Marigot area. You build the Lakou Park, you build a mini stadium there, and you revisit the youth camp, and that might take about $60 to $70 million. He tell me that's a very noble idea, but boy, the opposition would give me some blows for spending all that money to do that in one particular area. I'm saying, if we can do that, because sports is an integral part of human development, and I'm happy that the state now building this half basketball, these courts in all the district, because sports is important. A doctor once told me, a psychologist from in fact, Rudy Webster was a psychologist. He said, every dollar spent in sports is $3 less spent in the hospital. So if we can begin, I see when I was in Portsmouth Friday there this week, I saw a lot of grading going on, so I reckon the synthetic track is coming on stream. So if we can do that and build something like the indoor court at Massac. Last night I left Massac I'm a boxing referee. I left there 1:45, there was boxing last night. And you see, a lot of people turn out because people turn out to the area and so on, and there was a lot of publicity. So that if they can build something like that, one in Grand Bay, one in Portsmouth, one on the east, people can have their indoor games, they can have activities. These things can help to reduce or remove the ills in society. As I continue to say, sports is an integral part of human development, and a lot I have learned is through sports. I've traveled extensively, not just on police work, on my own time too, but for sports. And that is something we have to really invest in, to ensure. I'm saying that because I know a lot of people listening, and then, you have the brain, you have the think tanks and smart people in government and out of government. I suppose not always that they speak about these things, or they might say, well, that is for us to do. But as a citizen that love the country, if I have ideas, I believe all ideas should contend. So I'm just throwing that out there. But I'm happy with the way that things are going in terms of the sporting facilities that are being developed. That is one of the avenues where it can help to remove or reduce the ills in society if young persons are actively involved in this sort of situation, getting involved in sports, getting involved in activities, planning, theater, and so on.
You thought in your lifetime that the kind of infrastructural development that Dominica has at this time, that you would have seen it? Take, for instance, the international airport. We're talking about the marina in the area where you came from, Portsmouth. We also see the close-knit road network that we have in terms of proper road network.
Yes.
You think you ever thought in your lifetime that you would have witnessed that quick kind of development in Dominica?
Well, I was hoping in my lifetime.
Before you answer, let's just take a caller.
Yes.
Quickly. Good evening to you, caller. Good evening, caller.
Yes, it's me again. I'm so interested in that program and if what Mr. Irish is saying. Mr. Irish, I would like you to go and meet my Prime Minister and exchange with him, especially for the young, and you talk about the young from 12, 15, 14,
yes,
13 years. Bring back something to take them out on the road so that they have a skill. So when our Caribbean countries, our sisters and brothers ask for help assistance, we can send over, even if there's 100 of them, to help on the name of our country. What a wonderful, what a brilliant idea you are coming with. So just keep it to you. Please find where it is Minister of Trade, whatever, and go to them and explain to them. And then they will see what is happening and what will be happening for our country. Thanks for your memories. Thanks for your service you have given to the Dominican Police Force. Thanks for all what you have been doing. Even when you come to Guadeloupe, you are calling me and asking me, Tony, where can I get this? Where can I do that?
Yes.
And it's wonderful. It's brilliant. I am giving you your flowers while you are alive, because I heard what you are saying, and it fills me and it touched me to see how you are going on. So continue the good work and go out there, Mr. Irish, and do your best to build your country. It's what you can do for your country. It's not what your country can do for you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you very much for the good sentiments. And true. And yeah, one time I wanted to find a place. I was in Guadeloupe. In fact, I went there 10 times last year. And I went there. I want to go there in the next 2 weeks. And Tony assisted me, and so on. Thank you very much. And did good sentiments. So yes, coming back.
Just again, another caller quickly.
Yes.
Just hold that for there. Good evening.
Yes, it's me again,
Yes.
Mr. Joseph and Mr. Irish. I think one spot you missed, the prison, man. Rehabilitation of the youth and them in the prison. So when they live there, they could treat them a trade something, and when they come back into society, that they will be something good to society. I think that's the only point you missed was the prison.
Yes, that's a good point. Because the other day I went to the Bahamas, and when I saw 30 little boys in prison under 16 years, I said, my goodness me, thanks God we do not have that in Dominica. But yes, coming back to your question, Mr. Joseph, on the question of the international airport, I really wanted to see that all along. And then finally, because one of the things, the drawbacks for Dominica is the connection. And even now, look, I heard quite a few airlines coming on stream. When I heard the minister say that, I was so happy. And when I was coming from Indianapolis 2 weeks ago, I happened to go, I went to New Jersey and a straight flight to Dominica, 4.5 hours. The plane was packed to capacity, from North Carolina, from Newark, New Jersey to Dominica, and that is very good. So, so yes, my dream is to see that international airport, and I'm happy. Some people say, well, it's a jet airport, really. We have an international airport already.
Just hold.
Yes.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Joseph.
Good evening.
Yes.
And Mr.
Irish.
Oh, Irish, yeah.
And Mr. Irish. Mr. Irish, I listened to the entire program, and you are brilliant, and that's very good. But what I want you to take and run is the idea of the young people, for the young people.
Yes.
Mr. Irish, you didn't think of that on your own. The Lord put it in your mind.
Amen.
To say. And I'm just asking you, please, the Prime Minister is a very humble man. And then if you go to him, and then the people in authority, if God put that in your mind, he will lead you through it, and you will get all the help that you need, so that idea you have in mind will come to pass.
Yes.
So don't give up. Don't give up. The young people out there,
they need help. They need guidance. They need something
they need help
to look to.
They need guidance. So I ask you please that is a seed. A seed God put in your hand tonight, Mr. Irish. Go and sow it, okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, good night, and I know you okay. I will tell Matthew is listening.
Yes, please.
And then, yes, we are very thankful for what you just said, okay? Plant that seed and let it grow.
Yes, I think so. I think some attention has to be done in a more direct way to see. I mean, a lot is being done for the young people, but to in sharp focus in terms of what we see. We see an ugly little head, showing itself around some of the pockets of resistance here and there in certain areas, and I think that has to be addressed. But coming back to the development of the airport, this is a wonderful thing. We need that so we can get the connections. A lot of people from Europe and around the United States of America, they want to come to Dominica. Businessman wants to come down, and to go back in 3 days, and that sort of thing. And I think, we have to applaud those kind of development. If the geothermal energy comes into its own and so on, I think that would be a plus for Dominica. At least 50 years down the road, our light bills will be, I hope, yes, it will go down. And of course, I went to the Kalinago territory recently, and I was pleasantly surprised to see the level of work. Because when they talked about the $100-and-something million, I said, my God, I wonder if they have enough space to build roads, but, in terms of what was going to be done. But it was really a lot of work, and the road is lovely. So we have to just ensure that we can preserve it and take care of it. And another thing I would like to see is all parts of Dominica develop. I'm not a politician, but I travel a lot. And when I see things, I would like to see Dominica not have everything, but, when you see St. Kitts, 3-4 boats can come and land in the same port. That is something good. Honestly, in the Melvin Hall area, Marigot, if they can build 2 houses, 2 things like Sea Breeze in Roseau there, to give the place a facelift. When I used to go Antigua all the time when my brother was there, about 10 years, with Liat, Mr. Bird, he used to go to, let's say, All Saints, not supporting him, and some places, he go where they're not supporting him, and he put in the development in the place. And in the next year or 2, the people gravitating towards him. So as Dominica belongs to all of us, I would just like to see everywhere develop. And gone are the days when persons would say, well, boy, these people not supporting me, so this and that. I'm not going into point, but I'm just saying, if we can start to do that, we'll probably get some more love, more unity, more happiness, and so on. That place is too nice, just outside the airport.
Well, you can, the government maybe can see that they have built, in reference to health, they have built the modern hospital in Marigot.
Yes, I was coming to that.
They have also built this health center,
yes,
modern health wellness
smart
center
health center in the area, yes.
In the area. So they can justify their doings by saying that we don't look at the political side, but look at Dominica.
Yes. Well, yes, in a holistic way, and you're right. So yes, I'm being, and coming back to the young people, I think we have to do something early. We're not saying it haven't gone really, it's not get crashing per se. But we need this kind of thing where skills. And we're in a democratic country, but I think it has to be mandatory. Because if a boy is 14 years to 30 years and he sits by the road all the time and have the tendency to not just provoke people, but to go into illegal activities, smoking and all this thing, and getting himself in trouble, I think at that age you're not working, the government put you in that center, they give you a little percentage of something. You build that on the West Coast, they have a lot of land. We can do produce, you do our bananas, do our lettuce, do our cucumbers, or things self-sufficient. And you target the hotels so that the hotels and the restaurants and the supermarket can buy from that organization. I think we can get things going. Another thing again.
No, you were saying earlier
yes.
on. You said earlier on in reference to international airport.
Yes.
You're saying that the government is now building a jet airport.
Yes.
And you're saying that our runway is of international standard. I think you were saying that before you get a call.
The runway where? At Melvin Hall?
At Melvin Hall.
Oh, no, I was saying, because I know a little aviation, I was just saying we already have an international airport. Because Melvin Hall, you have people from all international spheres coming in. So, in a sense, it's an international. So, what we do, we're building a jet airport to be able to accompany, bigger planes, which is good. And surprisingly, I heard one of the political negative people saying that there's no need to build a big runway. Man, which pilot in the world that will tell you a long runway which pilot that will not be happy to have a long runway? More space the pilot have is better for him. You know, you need a long runway. All pilots I've spoken to, if my little aviation thing here and there, they'll tell you, man, longer the runway is better for them. So we need that. I mean, you know, but I don't want to go into that sphere. All I want to say is I think that's a very good idea. And I hear insensible people saying, I'm hearing that there, no airport is being built. You think all that energy and all that effort and all that thing that is going on there, that would be a fake? That's virtually impossible. That's impossible. I believe the airport is coming on stream. It may not be ready exactly in 2027 because of the level of works that has to go on. But I believe we'll get that jet airport eventually. And it will be nice because, you know, taking off and landing in aviation, these are the two difficult things. Taking off and landing. And the landing straight coming in. No plane like to turn and turn and turn. Coming in, landing straight in, landing straight out. So yes, I think that's commendable. But another thing is the sports arena for athletics, track and field. That will help to propel our athletes forward. You need that synthetic track because you run on grass, you run on mud, you run on thing. And then when you go to the international circuit, I was in Australia as a chef de mission for the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games. And I think I have an athlete, I wouldn't call his name. By the time he take off on that synthetic track, Otto Bolden and these guys had already ended the race. So you have to get used to that synthetic track to get yourself grounded so that when you go into the international circuit, you can make it. So we need that. And if you can get those things, the sporting arena and all the development package we have there and so on, more hotels coming up, I think that can enhance your country to give you that sustained growth, sustainability, and a better way of life for all. Cecil, I see it's getting, I hope we're not going past the time.
No, we're going up to, in a while it'll be all over. Nah, we don't go beyond 11.
Yes, okay.
We don't go beyond 11.
That's 4 hours should be reasonable.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, no, Mr. Irish, I know that you, as you said earlier on, that you are married.
Yes.
And you said that you have children.
Yes.
How is it?
Say again?
How is it that you are married and having to do so many different chores?
Oh yeah. Yeah, my wife used to tell me that, you know. Oh, she doesn't say that again. But you see, the thing is that, oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. When I was in the police service, I was one time the secretary of the Cricket Association. So the West Indies board came to see Mrs. Charles, the Prime Minister. And I was his secretary. I had to bring Steve Comash and all these guys to my Charles home at Wall House then. And my Charles tell me, but how do you find time to be in this cricket thing and you're a police officer? What, you know? And then I had to explain to her, well, yes, I do my work very diligently. And talking about that, Cecil, let me give you a joke. You know, my Charles had about 3 dogs. So I think those dogs, sometime when they escape, one used to come Wall House. So a man had some sheep and goat there. So one night on my porch at 10 o'clock, I ain't one of these goats something, you know. So I saw a dog, a brownish dog, came and it was, you know, having a go with the goats. He eventually died. So I think I called the owner and told them, look, I think a dog came and you know, eat your goat and so on. You know, the person went to my Charles and tell my Charles, I said that her brown dog came and killed the person goat. My Charles sent for me right away. But I'm not afraid. So my Charles sent me, what? Did you really see my dog eat? I say, madam, I never said that. I said I saw a brown dog came and was eating that goat. She said, but if it had it been my dog and I could buy the goat, I love goat meat. But anyway, that's just on the side. But that was true. But you know. So yes, you're asking me about my children and my family. You see, I work out myself nicely. When I was working here, at the police headquarters at the CID, for instance, and case files come in to me. I finish work 8 and I used to go till 5. Head of CID, you can't leave as it 4 o'clock. You have to stay there. Stay there 8 to 5 to motivate the guys to work. Go home, take my meal, take my shower, come back down at 7 o'clock and start reviewing those case files. Some of them, when they come, the case is in 3 days' time. Or if I get reports on my desk, the chief wants reports on that, I would come back in the night and do that next day on the chief desk. So I work out myself, I look at my timing, and I was always trying to be proactive. And because I love sports and those things, I would find time for my family, my time for my work, but I always enjoy voluntary work. So I never really had a problem. Because I'm sure you know my daughter, she used to play cricket and football and so on. And, I gave her time to play her sports. I gave her time. And, I always had my time allocated. And so I never had a problem with that. And I used to take joy and pleasure working with the Grotto Home for the Homeless. That is one of the places I work for, voluntary work, 30-something years. I also in Passes for a long time, over 15, 20 years. Passes is 1999 when we started. Mr. Lancelot and Emil Lancelot Sr. and a group of people. And now I'm in Special Olympics. So yes, so I find time. I work out my work never suffered. I always went back and do some extra. As I go home at 5, take a little rest and come back, eat, come back at 7 till 9 and get my work done. And I never had a problem when it comes to my presentation and my work. So it's just a matter of time management, which is critical and key. And that is one of the things. And I have the energy and I love to work. When I feel good, when I can do something extra to help someone or to make a difference, not being boastful. But every day I interact with people. I'm a very serious man. I'm a disciplinarian, and I always try to do things in order. I served on a lot of sporting organization. I serve on the Cricket Association as secretary. I serve on the Football Association, even manage a Dominica team. And one of these days I felt so nice when I went to a function where the young Minister of Sports, Oscar George, was addressing. He spoke after me and he said, but Mr. Irish managed me, in Trinidad and Tobago and so on, when in the under 15 cricket as the manager, and he talked about the discipline that I instill. I say, look at that, the man is a minister and he's saying that it's a good thing I did things right, And I went with these guys, 16 guys overseas to play cricket, and I would never leave them and go and have a good time. Anywhere I go, these athletes would be with me, and so on. And I was happy when I heard the minister said, I was his manager, and I still a level of discipline, and today, it's paying off. Yes, I'm
What is your happiest moment?
My happiest moment is I retire and I built my home. I got married 38 years ago. And one of the things, as you say that, I got give a joke. Before my mother had a house in Portsmouth, my mother was renting, and then she paid her rent. I think it was those days $14.50 a week or something, and the person who was collecting the rent was drunk and forget she had paid, and came saying that he wants his money because she didn't pay, and she had a book. And the person coming in her house, he said, don't come in my house, I paid the rent, drunk. So honestly, the same pail of urine she had there, she dashed it on the person. I shouldn't say that. But anyway, I can say that. And then the person took her to court and she won the case. The magistrate said she had a book, she paid her rent, and the person had no right to come into their house. The police, you haven't got a warrant, and so on. I was a little boy of 9 years, and since then I say I can never rent. And I stayed in police barrack room as a sergeant. People tell me, boy, you're a sergeant and you're still there, not married. So I stay in there, have a room. And then I got a piece of land in Wallhouse in 1987, and I built my home 1987. And before I retired in 2015, I had paid off. Even though I get a 20-year loan or what have you, or they give me 20 years to pay it, I would pay something extra. You know I have one pair of pants, 2 pairs of pants. I was happy. I pay in extra and I build my home. I said I would never rent Liquor Boy 9 years. And I built my home and I pay for that before I retire 2015. So that gave me the great satisfaction. That is why I'm very thankful for the police service. And even my friend, Mr. Coffee William, who died, I think he named his son Ainsworth William because I tell him, Mr. Coffee, build your house as early as you can. Take a loan, it might be tight. When I built my home, I was just getting $200 a month. And I manage myself after I pay my thing, I pay my loan, and I manage myself. I wasn't an extravagant fellow who was going to party and dance. I manage my thing, I buy my little groceries, I buy my thing, and so on in 1987 until my thing come up and up and up. But I don't want my wife to say that. And my wife, that time she was young, we were friends, and she had just started teaching. She left school 16 after high school, college, everything, and got 17. And although we were friends, and when she get that teaching job, she was giving me a little 200 extra to help me. And I built my home, and I'm married 38 years, and I'm happy. Honestly, and I can't say nothing. No regrets. And no regrets, man. And then, and so on. So, yeah, they understood. They understood my little boy was challenged. He was born before Chrisani, my daughter. I took care of him. And the thing is that when I retired, I stayed home with him because I had 13 babysitters. And this boy, he couldn't walk and talk. And then I had 2 good ones. But the rest, he was seeing misery. I can tell you that. And when I retired, I said, thanks God, I can stay and take care of this boy. And Cecil, you see, I didn't want to go into no negative, But when my boy was challenged, I think they had transferred me to Granby boy, and the boy, he used to be crying, but at night my wife have to phone me and put the phone in his ears for me to speak to him, say something to him, Mario. And he was missing me because he was challenged and I was caring of him. And he liked music, gospel music. He didn't like calypso, he would cry. And then they sent me to Granby boy. I never cried. And then, boy, I had good times, But one time a chief of police called me a time and tell me there's not anything bad. They tell me the warrants they have a lot of warrants in Granby, and you have to try and execute the warrants to make the state get some money. When I start executing warrant in Granby people start getting real bad and vex, and not bad, but vex and so on. And then they take me out from Granby and they say I'll cause a third world war up there, and they send me to Marigot. And then and then my little boy is a story. Anyway, and they send me to Marigot, but my little boy crying, he's sick. He's sick, man. And that is it. I say that to say, when you in the police, I say that now in contemporary times. I think Mr. Wicks alluded to that a bit. When you're in the police service and a man comes to you as a chief and a boss and tell you that he have a condition, his family is sick or his wife is sick. It have some guys that want to go in their country close to their home to just play the fool. But it have some genuine case. You have to listen to them. Listen and give them time. You're teaching people, you're teaching children nowadays in modern time. A teacher will tell you to stand up outside, or you give you a mental arithmetic, you forget, and you have to understand, or you reach to school later day. You have to emphasize with people. You have to understand those things. But I never went to anybody and tell them, I took my grind, I took my suffering, and I married God. And my little boy cannot sleep 11, 10 o'clock. He was so used to me. I went to England with him. I went to America, and I did my best. And when the doctors see me, they say, this boy, they can't believe Mr. came back. And that boy, for him to sleep, they have to phone me, or I have to phone him, and you have to put the phone in his ears, talk to him. Mario, your daddy is, yes, I'm not there, but I'll be coming home, and all that kind of stuff. We have to understand those things, and these are some of the things we have to, in modern time, we have to understand. I remember once I reached work late because I go to nothing later. When I was getting married 38 years ago, I told my wife, I understand the bride, the lady always come late. But if you reach 1 minute after, you won't meet me in the church. And she was there 1 minute before. 3. The wedding was at 3 o'clock at the Methodist Church on the 18th of July, 1987. And then she reached there 1 minute, because I told her, she knows I was serious. I tell her I go to nothing late. The church at Lubia is 7 minutes drive from my home, and I live in my home 1 hour to the church. I go to nothing late. I'm not saying something cannot happen, but if the president invite me to their dinner or something, I have to be there, and I have to be there. I can't go. I have the president waiting for me. I have to be there. So I know all of the traffic. I leave my home an hour before, and so on. So time management is key. So I'm happy. I have a good family. My daughter. I have this boy in Bath Estate. Well, everything happened. You make children. You go. I have him before I got married, but now he can understand. Now he's speaking. Now I was kind of not talking to him for a while. I was kind of disappointed. But as he told me the other day, boy, Daddy, I made a mistake. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. And I think we have to get together and understand, I think I need to get back home. And that is the whole thing. I entertain no illegal activity or wrongdoings. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. But a person not going to do something deliberately and think you're going to come and say you're going to escape from it. No. I had a family, a young fella, he had a problem with a fella about 5 years ago. And then he told the fella, I will shoot you. And the man really had a gun, the young boy, 19, 17, and they arrested him for the gun, bring him in the court. They called me, I never went there. I never went. No, man. If I go there, it's like telling you what you do there is right. I may be wrong. I had another relative that got into the court into problems, and they called me there, and I say no. If you're passing down the road and a man attack you and you defend yourself, that's something different. But anytime you're involved in anything like gun or drugs or stealing or breaking, no, man, it's of Irish not passing there at all. And I tell all my children, I tell my daughter that if you get into any kind of negative trouble, anything, if you're passing down the road and somebody try to assault you or something and you defend yourself. She was going to school and these guys on that road there, children passing and want to hug them and thing. And then she pull off her shoe and hit your slap on your thing and you fall down there. I will come to your defense, rescue, but not you go in and cause yourself and put yourself in trouble. So that is it. So you have to tell your children those things, And and one thing, I work in Grand Bay, by the way, for 3 years, and that was one of my best years. People saying what they want about Grand Bay in the old time days. No. People, I had no problem there. And up to now, when one time I was going to church in Grand Bay, walking from Lale going down, and some guys were smoking on the block. 3 guys. Them fellas serious. But I say, no, I go to church, I have my Bible, I have my thing. And I say, and I call them fellas, I say, guys, man, how can you all be smoking on the road like that, no, man? Yeah, it have young children and thing, you all have children and so on and so on. And, go and do all your thing in the bush, man, not there on the road. I can't, and so on. And this guy say, all me say sorti now, got some, all sorti. Oh, can't finish go away, go up sort. And I told them, moi c'est mon guatans. Moi, c'est mon guatans. My friend, I just did that, too. I said, moi c'est mon guatans. So, ça for me. And the fellows just, okay, officer, go to church.
I have a bet with someone I have to fish if you're at 11 o'clock.
Huh?
The person says to me, I'm sure you're going to go at 11:30 with Mr. Irish.
No.
I told the person no. I just want to say I'm Irish that someone asked about Urban Irish, asking how is he doing.
Urban Irish?
Yes.
Urban Irish die, my brother.
The person was just saying, good evening, Mr. Irish. Mr. Irish, what about Urban Irish?
Yeah, so my brother now, when my sister passed, I'm the principal of Wesley High School, so he was on Borough Square coming to sympathize, and the man just fall down way. And by the time they bring him in Roseau, he died 2 days after we.
Okay, so the person didn't get that information.
Yeah, man, one of my good brothers.
They said that he was the head of Liat.
He was after he left, he was airport manager. Then they brought him Liat manager here. and then they send him as a financial, he trained in aviation and finance and so on. They send him as a financial controller of Liat in Antigua.
All right, and another person said that good informative program. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge shared by Mr. Irish. May God grant you divine health and longevity to achieve your dreams and goals. Another person said that
Thank you.
This was a very good discussion with Cecil regarding your life work experience. I am a farmer as well. Most of what you have said here brings back memories. You have a wealth of knowledge. Another person said, great program. Another person said, I just want to say to that person, please try to get me that individual. Someone said to me, Cecil, the next person I would like you to present on the Lakou podcast is a teacher. She's Primrose Alexander. I'm not so sure who that person is. So please, that individual who have given me that information, please try to get Primrose for me or send me the number so I can try to contact her and I can try to see if I can get her as soon as possible. Your last words, Mr. Irish.
Yes, I want to say to everybody that Dominica belongs to us, and let us work together in harmony to ensure that we can develop the country. I mean, life is not easy. There's always this trauma all over the world. In Europe, everywhere is, difficulties. We have our little nature island here. Let us see if we can work in harmony and to develop and make things work nicely. I want to say, as a former police officer, I'm happy to see that the police officers are getting all the technological support and advancement. Recently, we had history where 60 officers plus, they were trained. That's the first time I hear a batch of so many officers, double what we did in the days. And I want to say to the young officers, continue to do your work. Be very mindful, be very careful. Understand the people, the society that we're living in, because the police need the public need the police, and the police, of course, is the eyes and ears of the police. We want them to leapfrog towards the community policing efforts I started, and of course it's now further developed, and we'll have a nice country where we all can work in harmony. We have to remember God, true and God is there, is on our side. And as he said in John 14:6, I like that verse, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So if we can put our hearts to the Lord and continue to serve him, that would be good. And, we have to continue to pray for this country. And during the hurricane season, that, God spare us. So far, 3 months have gone, June, July, August, which is good. No incidents, nothing. And I think that augurs well for us. So we can only hope that things will continue to improve in the country, so we all will be happy to serve this nation. Dominica.
Thank you very much, Mr. Irish, and wish you well, and just continue doing what you're doing, as was told to you by many of our viewers and listeners. I want to say thank you so very much for your insight and for your information given to us and coming on board.
Thank you very much, Cecil. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and privilege to speak to the nation and speak to you and to Dominicans, of course. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Irish. God bless.
Yes.
Well, now we go across to the BBC World Service, which already is in progress.
Saturday evening, local reports suggest the incident began when a customer jokingly proposed marriage to the woman, citing Islamic tradition. Her alleged response was considered blasphemous. An angry mob attacked and killed her, while the authorities were unable to protect her.
Officials in Indonesia have ramped up security across the country as further protests have been scheduled.